from JD, one from the audience back to Robin, kind of deal. But like I said, that kind of comes with knowing what questions we get. And even then, I have the ability to minimize or, put up as many as we want to fill the time. Um, the only other thing with that, and I can do this without pulling the screens down, is that that's 40 minutes minimum. Ideally, we'll potentially go up by 5, maybe 10 minutes for that. But once again, the priority is getting more time into those individual segments, the conversations with the host and the author in the midst of the reading. At the 20-minute mark, we'll do a short commercial break, 90 seconds. Come back in out of that. I'll map this all out and see who's the host that brings us back in. You know what? I'm gonna keep it simple. I'll bring us back in from that commercial. I'll deal with all the commercials for the Q&A. And then we end the Q&A, one last commercial break, and we move to the matter of final words from each contributing author and guest host. Whatever you want to, lead the people with. Try to keep it at 1 to 2 minutes. And as we do that, it will be another one of those situations where we'll see us all like this. But as the person is speaking, I'll bring them up. Ken gives us his words. He blesses us, what have you. Take him out the stream. And we see everybody, back in there again, kind of deal, as we blink each other out. That'll leave me the last person to make any announcements. The only other thing I was considering for anybody who was not here at the top was that what we're going to do is we're going to have 10 minutes of a live stream that goes before we start at 3 o'clock. It's going to be a block of the ads. It's going to be reminders of the prizes so that the audience can identify prizes in advance and pick them, so that when we're having our exchange behind the scenes, just me and them in the comments, we can work all of that out. The same will go for the grand prizes, though those will be announced at the end. I'm thinking the only other thing that may happen in that 10-minute spot is any interview type stuff that's relevant, whether we pull it off ourselves or there's any material we get from people, like what Monica did with Charles. And then, like I said, it's just minimizing how much we have to explain and say and remind. On the back end of the show, what I was considering was if, like when I go back through this sort of thing, if I see something that I think might contribute to like a 5-minute, like behind the scenes reel where I can have some ads, or not ads, but credits roll, we might have something like that on the end of the show, but we won't be on camera. It'll just be a video that plays 10 minutes beforehand, 5 minutes after. The 10 minutes is a definite deal. The 5 minutes is still in debate. All right, so that's kind of the rundown before we actually close out rehearsal. Any questions or concerns that come to mind right now?
No question or concern, but Eddie, I just want to thank you again for organizing all this. I know sometimes it's hurting cats, but I just want to give you your props because I know it's a lot. You have been really diligent in all the communication prior, and this is your work. I wanted to celebrate you just a little bit.
Thank you for that. And I will still once again get that back to y'all, because all of you in different respects have not only contributed, to the book, to the promotion, but even, what was kind of going in my mind when I was trying to even figure out the broadcast situation. I called several of you my eagle eye, or I'm hitting you up like, thanks for catching that, kind of thing. Especially loving these beautiful faces, these beautiful personalities, these brilliant brains, and all of you in your different way and in your different respect is somebody that people not only need to hear, but I honestly believe that people will watch, enjoy, and be impacted by. So y'all making my dream come true. Honestly, you really are. But you know me, and I think I've done it with all of y'all. I know me and Robin are good with this, especially. We'll say thank you back and forth in 5 different texts. So I'm gonna wrap that. I know that so before we leave, And this would be an excellent way to close out rehearsal. Robin, let me come up to you.
From a Black perspective, the people. Available now. Join us Sunday, April the 23rd from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the virtual reading, where we will be giving away a number of amazing gifts. Courtesy of To a Woman's Heart. You are one-of-a-kind limited edition t-shirt and copies of My House Cried Tears. Sometimes you have to sit in silence t-shirt. God's Favor t-shirt. Always Believe in Yourself t-shirt. My Mission, My Plan t-shirt and copies of My House Cried Tears. Comenius Creations, the custom Rainbow Room Publishing for the Writer in You pen and customizable stylus. Comes with refills and is easily interchangeable. The Comenius Creations clear handbag, seen here, the customizable tumblers, now and later tumbler, the Comenius Creations tumbler, and the limited edition glow-in-the-dark domino set. All handcrafted, customized to your specifications, thanks to Comenius Creations. Win copies of Becoming a Fearless Author, courtesy of Dreamwriter Inc. Win a copy of From a Black Perspective, The Blood, featuring Graffiti Park by author Ken Compton. Or win the complete volume of A for the Jayless Johnson series, including Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, and Arkansas. Thank you, Palindrome Global Publishing and Events. Or the Rainbow Room Publishing Guide. Thank you, Tony Lavelle and B-Clan Productions.
Welcome to From a Black Perspective, featuring Renee Thomas, Ken Compton, and Monica Brown.
Dr. Tamara Hill, Eddie Pierce, and SENYAH HAYNES. With guest hosts Robin Beasley and J.D. Williams.
And now our host, Rainbow Room Publishing founder and producer, Eddie Pierce.
Hello and welcome to From a Black Perspective. Bear with me here a second. We're dealing with a few difficulties in light of the weather. But I wanted to welcome you all to our great show. As you see, we are bringing you very high energy, and we're hoping that you will cheer us on in the comments. Keep in mind that you are also, we're also hoping for crowd participation in the comments in the form of your questions to the authors, and we will be handing out a number of prizes in the background, in the comments, for those of you who not only ask the best questions, but for those of you who ask the most questions. All right, so keep that in mind. And before going any further, just a quick reminder that Rainbow Room Publishing LLC has four objectives, one of which is to support small businesses. And for the purposes of this event, we will be focusing in on businesses that happen to be Black owned and or operated. So please pay attention to these ads, love on them, visit their sites, consider their projects, and stream their music. But of course, that is not why you all are here. We are here to see the stars of the afternoon, as I'm referring to them. And I feel that I am quite apt to say that they are stars. So without further ado, just a quick brief introduction. We have our two veteran authors from the Blood. We have Miss SENYAH Haynes, who is also our resident cover artist. And then we have another veteran, Mr. Ken Compton, the author of the wildly and widely popular Graffiti Park, also featured in From a Black Perspective, The Blood. Then moving on, we have our three newcomers who are no less talented than their counterparts. We have Miss Monica Brown of Comina's Creations. She's all things art, all things just lovely. Just my girl, I love her. We also have Renee Thomas, who's actually on her way in from work. We've already known this for some time, so you're going to see her later. But trust me, it is going to be worth the wait. This is one of my personal stars in that she was published twice in 1 month, one for the people and one by herself for My House Cry Tears. And so we're going to get to some information on how you can get that later. And then finally, we have the brilliant columnist herself. I call her Doc, but you're going to call her Dr. Tamara Hill. And she, unfortunately, is not able to be with us. She's actually working on an amazing opportunity, and it's one of the reasons that she and everybody else here was selected. But she did work really hard to bring you all a pre-recorded piece. And trust me, everybody all down the line, fire, 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 fire. And I'll give myself one, fire. All right. But we'll get our authors out of here for just a second. You're going to be hearing from them later. Right now, we're going to bring up our great co-hosts. We have Miss Robin Easley and we have Mr. JD Williams. Let's see here. Robin will be back with us in a second. But how are you doing today, JD?
I am great. How are you doing? I'm glad to be here.
Good to have you, brother. Always happy to have you on board, especially when we're doing some promotional stuff. You're great at what you do. I call the man the plug because he is the plug, Mr. JD Williams, the CEO and the host of the Sunday Takeout. And actually, JD, if you could, just for a quick minute, just tell them about the Sunday Takeout. What do you do?
Sure. So the Sunday Takeout is also all things art. So anything that has anything to do with food, music, and art, which is three of my favorite things. So I incorporated that into the Sunday Takeout. And what I do is host several events around the city. Also got some pop-up shops and things like that in the works. So that's pretty much what the Sunday Takeout consists of, all things food, music, and art.
Awesome. All right. And we got Robin. And I want y'all to know, please know, my sister Robin is all things professional, okay? Anything that's going on with anybody's cameras, especially know that for those of us in Dallas, we are dealing with storms rolling back and forth overhead. These clouds are messing with some of everything. But Robin, how you doing today, sis? Okay, so she will be, let's see, we got her back in. Let me bring this one in instead. All right, how you doing today, Robin?
Hey, good, Eddie. How are you and JD? Thank you for having me. I'm sorry
You
about the
very
difficulties.
no, you good. And see, that's why you're here, girl, because what did we talk about, everybody? Redundancy, redundancy, redundancy. So back it up, back it up, back it up. For anybody that didn't notice what I did, the behind the scenes stuff beforehand, my mic went out one time and we had a good giggle behind it. But so just know that we've been working out these things for a while. But Robin, go ahead. Why don't you real quick and tell everybody about Pineapple Grenade by Robin?
Well, my name is Robin Easley, and I started Pineapple Grenade after doing plus size modeling. And I just decided as a servant leader in my community that so many people needed support. So, Pineapple Grenade is a support business. We primarily do interviewing, one-on-one group interviews. I also do creative direction and style. Along with that, I do some marketing and operations management. And I love to research. So this anthology, Eddie, is right up my alley because all of these authors contribute something different, and I love to synthesize information. And I'm looking forward to working with new clients, and I'm accepting those as well. So thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Thank you. All right, so guys, without belaboring the point, JD, we're going to take you back to the green room for a second, and Robin and I are going to kick things off. And Robin, feel free to take it away.
All right, guys. So we're actually going to get started with Eddie Pierce. He's actually a Chicago native, and he's known for creative writing. He graduated from the Chicago State University, and he actually started Rainbow Room Publishing himself. He is the author of Love from Behind and Love Changes. Are you ready to start reading?
I'm ready when you are.
All righty.
Thank you again, Robin, for that awesome introduction. For anyone who is not aware, my piece, Your Ways Warning, is partially inspired by the work of Chinua Achebe when he did the work Things Fall Apart, where he depicted the colonization of the African continent. And so I am, in a sense, paying homage to him and putting my own spin on things. Your Ways Warning. Mind your breathing, watch his feet. Find your center, plant your feet. Chants Azizi over and over again to himself in a prayer like mantra, watching the massive man that is his opponent at the opposite side of the wrestling ring. Taking one last breath and calling upon all of his courage, the slight boy springs towards his opponent, who twists his own body and catches Azizi by his waist just as he attempts to speed past him. Gripping him by the waist from behind, the man sweeps Azizi's feet out from under him and in a loud thud drops to the ground atop his captive. What did you do wrong this time, Azizi? Asked the man, exasperated. I forecast my strike, father, he answers despite a face muffled with dirt. How many times have I told you told you, his father grumbles while standing to his feet. Surprise is your ally. Give the boy time, Jabali calls one of the other fathers. He is only 11 summers. I was toppling opponents twice my size at that age, Jabali retorts with subdued venom. What are you waiting for? He shouts back at Azizi, who sits on the ground nursing a very sore midsection. At his father's thundering gaze, Azizi jumps to his feet. No point in embarrassing ourselves any further, Jabali speaks almost to himself and storms off in the direction of his family compound, with a demoralized Azizi in his wake. Entering the compound of round thatched huts, Jabali nearly trips over a small pig running loose. Curse you, wretched swine! He shouts, kicking after the retreating animal. At the sound of his voice, two of his three wives sharply turn from their chores in his direction, and the small children who played carelessly at their feet run into one of the wives' huts. Madiwa, the first wife, calmly puts down the basket she was weaving at the sight of her son, Azizi, finally coming into view. She rises and walks to him, casting a glance full of condemnation at her husband. Don't look at me as if I were one of the children, woman, he verbally spits at her, the last word more insult than moniker. Only a mule or a child will continue down the same stubborn path, expecting to reach a different destination, she boldly replies. One of the other two women
wives just barely giggles at Mediva's response. When Jabali turns his dark countenance their way, the two quickly drop their heads and continue to work with blank expressions as rigid as stone. You go too far, woman, he says, turning back to Mediva, who is attending to Azizi's bruised chest and waist. Will you beat me too, then? She asks without returning his glance. I wasn't beating the boy. I was teaching him combat just as all men his age are taught. His bruises are a result of his own repeated failure. Why is it so hard for you to accept that the warrior may not be his path just because it is yours? Perhaps your way has lain another for him, she suggests, finally eyeing him coldly while ushering Azizi back towards the compound's entrance. Your way. Jabali repeats the name through hoarse laughter. You women and your wives' tales. Only women, children, and weaklings acknowledge this make-believe coddling goddess. Anyone with the sense of a gnat knows that Kandu is supreme. It is by his mighty arm that the prosperity and peace of our village are guaranteed. Behind Jabali's back, the other two wives slightly nod their heads and make signs to ward against evil. Mediva looks beyond him and calls the other children to her. Come, we will gather water for the evening meal. She turns on her heel and leads the children out of the compound with Jabali still chuckling to himself. Your way, whatever. Mother, Azizi calls as he and the rest of the children, make their way to the stream carrying clay pots of varying sizes. Don't you fear, father? A sly smile crosses Mediva's face as she considers the example she sets for the children. Her silence catches all of their attention. I respect my husband, but I fear your way. The children look upon her with puzzlement. Mother, who is your way? Asks one of the smallest children. Glancing around, Mediva thinks to herself and spies something that can help her explain just as they come into view of the stream. Look to the ibis, she says, pointing to a small, leggy bird using its long beak to fish something out of the mud. It pulls a shellfish out of its shell and feeds it to one of its hatchlings. And there, drawing their attention to a wildcat diligently cleaning a kitten with its tongue. And down the stream, their eyes follow hers to a mother elephant standing vigil over her young as they splash and tumble in the water. Oh, so your way is a mother, Azizi deduces. Not exactly, child, answers a voice that crackles like a low flame. Mediva, her brood, the other women and children gathered at the stream all turn to see Umamu, the village wise woman who seems to appear out of nowhere. Your way is the mother, Amamu continues. She is Nana the sky, mother of creation. She is the Sase, goddess of the earth, provider of the fruits and grains that fill your belly. Lamanja, mother of mankind, and many other names long forgotten. All mothers are her collective fleshly manifestation, and all men the sons who defend her honor. So she's Kondo's mate, asks one of the small boys. Amamu laughs in response while drawing the warding sign against evil in the sand with her walking stick. The women all make vain attempts to suppress their laughter while imitating her gesture in the air with their hands. No, 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 little one, she finally answers, nodding her head full of tightly wound silver locks. She settles herself on the bank of the stream and calls the boy to her. His mother gently pushes him towards the wise woman. Your way is no one's mate, she explains, folding her slender arms around the boy as the other women coax the rest of the children to Amamu's feet. For the briefest second, she beams at the sight of Azizi, reluctantly joining the younger children. Kandu is a usurper. He's an invention of man, a justification for petty tribal wars. It is your way who provides our prosperity and maintains our peace. While other villages have fallen to the traditions and weapons of the pale ones, your way keeps us safe and hidden in our bosom. Still, she has been forsaken far too long. Her name has been ridiculed, her sacrifices neglected and offered up to the false ones. Just as any mother, your way's patience is only as long as the horizon. With each phrase, her voice demonstrates a mixture of grief and condemnation. Somberly, she kisses the first child's forehead, releases him, and moves to rise with the aid of her walking stick.
But all of this comes to an end with the light of the next full moon, she says, concluding her statement, finally rising to her full height. The next full moon, gasped one of the women. The festival, exclaims another. They look to each other in fear, vigorously attempting to ward off the evil. Imamu, is there any way to appease her? Madiwa turns toward Imamu to ask, but finds the wise woman has disappeared just as suddenly as she appeared. The women and children draw the water and make their way back to the village with mixed emotions regarding the wise woman's proclamation. They come to one conclusion. Yurway will make her presence known at the festival, during which they will consecrate the fields and celebrate the planting season. Mother, calls Azizi, what sacrifice does your way require of us? I honestly don't know, my son, she answers, uncharacteristically troubled. It is said that in the past she has demanded trinkets as small as the seedlings we plant, or as costly as the life of a village elder. The myth of your way. In the beginning, chaos dwelt alone. She was courted by three male deities. Each wanting her as his mate presented gifts as tokens of their affection. The first gave her a crown of eternity. The second gifted her with a shawl of pure light. The third bestowed upon her a breastplate of fertility. Chaos accepted all of their tokens. In time, the three hopeful suitors became impatient and very competitive. When she took too long to choose between the three, they became blind with rage and violently snatched their gifts away, nearly killing her. The crown shattered, creating time. The shawl rippled, and the pieces ripped, and the pieces formed the heavenly lights. The breastplate cracked to reveal that she was with child. Out of remorse, they each spoke a blessing over her womb and covered her in a protective cocoon. With their anger cooled and collective self-absolution satisfied, the three retired to the palace of the heavens. In time, the cocoon split and order emerged full of new life, her womb protesting its load. As her womb labored, she spread out her limbs, transforming her curves into the hills and the valleys. The trees, flowers, and plants sprang up forth from her hair. In the fullness of time, she gave birth to Doomfire of the sky, Anaje of the flame, and Banga of the seas. In harmonious love, they looked upon her and called her your way, blessed mother. Banga covered her nakedness with the seas, rivers, and streams. Ananje provided her warmth in the winter. Doomfi, the firstborn, protectively watched over her from the firmament of the heavens, sending cooling breezes. Using the power that they inherited from your way to create as well as destroy, they further cultivated the land. In return, she provided each son the gift of a bride, to whom they each presented their dual power to create and destroy as a bridegroom. Together, the three couples gave birth to the nations of man. Your way, weary from her labor, went into a deep sleep, waking only periodically for sacrificial offerings or at the behest of her 6 children and their descendants. There's trouble in the village. Mama is coming to settle the matter. If you want to see how she handles it, and she does handle it, get the book. Thank you. All right, so that's my piece. If you give me a second here. Thank you all. Thank you so much for the feedback. It was great. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed the story. As you see in the banner going across, we are looking for your questions and your comments that will make you eligible for the prizes that we've talked about in the past. You will see, especially if you go into the Eventbrite and look at the add-ons, several of those are prizes, but we will be handing out a number of things, and so look forward to some more information on that. Robin, how you feeling? Did you like the story?
I'm sorry, Eddie, I'm unable to hear you. I'm so sorry. It seems like it's a strong connectivity issue on my end, but if you are able to hear me now, I'll just go ahead and ask the question.
Go for it.
All righty. So great reading from Uray's warning. I believe that this piece sets the tone for the opener in the people. It's an exciting piece that honors women for their purpose in creating life and sustaining mankind, and also offers men honor for their guidance and protection by way of war, care, and respect. The world's creatures and its elements, from the animals, the people, the youth, the elders, our family dynamics and structure, along with culture, are centralized in this piece. Can you share what inspired you to write such a high energy piece in this time?
Well, honestly, this was written several years ago, almost 15, 20 years ago. And it was actually written in pieces. The myth that I end the piece, what my reading with, was actually written first. I honestly don't remember where it was inspired by, other than the fact that, I read a lot of comics, a lot of biblical stories, a lot of mythology, and I'm pretty sure that that's where your way comes from, that part of the myth. And then you had the matter of the story itself, which was actually inspired by a dream. The first scene of the story was actually something I dreamt, the father and the son in the sparring match, and that there was some contention there because the son wasn't the warrior that his father was. And some days after that, I remember I got up and I, started writing the story. And then I got to that place where your way is in the story, the myth. And I just saw that, wow, this is a great, note for anybody. Don't throw away any of your writing. You never know where you might use it. But those two stories were written totally separate from each other, and she just fit right in. So it was purely out of inspiration and imagination, not something that I ever intended to publish. But time and season, as you said before, come together. And I remember that when I looked at the fact that we were going to do, from a Black perspective, the people, and I had already pre-selected Voyage from SENYAH Haynes's Witness collection of art, that, oh, I have to put Your Way in, because for anybody that knows how the story ends in the book, it's a very, very symbolic image. So thanks, Robin. Back to you.
Thank you, Eddie. We'll go ahead and get some questions from the audience if anyone has one.
Checking now.
Someone said it reminds them of Ego Tripping by Nikki Giovanni, very poetic and mythical. Do you know anything about that, Eddie, and can you speak to it?
Only a little bit. I am a little, and that's actually good friend Crystal, so she knows that we kind of complement each other, in that I kind of hit all of the James Baldwins and that sort of thing, and she kind of hits all of the Toni Morrisons, Nikki Giovanni's, several of which are actually famous sorority sisters of hers, the Women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated sorority. Incorporated. And so I'm very familiar with her work in the sense of, the high art of the poetry. As far as the mythological part, honestly, I don't know. And that's something that Crystal and I could definitely talk about at a later date.
We'll go ahead and take it into a commercial break now. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Groove with Aswell Pasworth and the Love Sessions Orchestra, Monday nights at the Freeman Cajun Cafe and Lounge in Dallas, Texas, and stream their music everywhere.
Did you know that healthier employees generally take less time off from work, increase productivity, and help lower employers' insurance premiums? Who wouldn't want that? Invest in your employees' well-being with Eating Well with Chef Cordell's Corporate Wellness Program. You'll be helping your employees reduce stress, manage their time, and improve their health with customized wellness programs. Keep your team healthy by scheduling a virtual corporate wellness program today.
Check out Aswell Pasworth, AZWALF, HAZWORF and Love Sessions Orchestra, and Eat Well with Chef Cordell, CORDELL.com.
Welcome back to From a Black Perspective. We're here with the author, SENYAH HAYNES. Hi, SENYAH.
Hey, JD, how you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you again. You know, of course, in Dallas, we're having some crazy weather, but other than that, it's a great day. It's a great day. You guys, SENYAH is the author of Jayla's Joints, a children's book series of a little girl and her magical aunt who takes a journey from state to state learning Black culture. She's also contributed to the series with her provocative short stories, Transitions, and from a Black perspective, The Blood. SENYAH is also the primary illustrator and also having contributed to Abolition, the cover of The Blood, and Voyage, which features a slave ship to the cover of The People. Now, SENYAH, you can go ahead and start with your reading.
All right. Thank you very much, JD. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my piece in the book entitled Shatter. 5 days after Christmas, on a Saturday morning illuminated with the undaunted light of California's winter sun, a little girl sat in her living room enthralled with the morning cartoons. She was in that giddy age range between toddlerhood and teens, her knowledge of the world somewhere between wise beyond her years and hopelessly naive. Childhood so far had danced along the spectrum from raw euphoria to tepid misery, the low end comprising her parents' divorce, having to switch schools, and the hard time she was having with that funny new math. 3 kids needing to divide the love, time, and money of one parent instead of 2. In the back of her house, her family lay sleeping: mother, younger sister, and baby brother. A few cities away, her live-in aunt was finishing the night shift. Fred Flintstone was hollering at Wilma when the telephone rang. Hello? Hey, gal. Auntie! The little girl squealed with delight. Her aunt was by far her favorite human being. What are you doing? Watching cartoons. What's your mom and Todd doing? Sleep. What's Harmony doing? Same. Gal, do me a favor. Why don't you go check on her, okay? I'll wait. It was an odd request, but then again, Auntie was an odd sort. She read 12 newspapers a day, ate every meal standing over the kitchen sink, and liked to drown Barbies because of some bizarre contempt for all things prissy. Taking all this into consideration, the little girl decided not to ask, but just to acquiesce. Hold on, she said, resting the phone on the kitchen counter. There was Harmony in bed as expected. The little girl opened the door and stood at the entrance, not going all the way in. It was cold in there. She looked to her bed, 3 feet from her sister's, and wondered if she should straighten the comforter. She decided not to. She looked at Harmony again, whose nightgown had bunched itself around her waist, allowing her bare legs to show. They were in the shape of a 4. The right one bent and crossed over her straight left one. The 2-toned quilt was under her to the left and loosely wrapped around her arm. Her barrettes had come out sometime during the night, and her hair was a natty mess. The little girl didn't know why she stared at her sister's chest for such a long time. She got her answer when finally her eyes told her that it was rising and falling. Harmony lay half twisted with her face turned to the side. It was a scene the little girl had seen 1,000 times before. She skipped back to the kitchen and picked up the phone. Yeah, she's fine. Okay, Auntie giggled. The relief in her voice gave the little girl's spirit pause, though she didn't consciously perceive it. I have to run. I don't want to miss my bus. I love you. I love you too. Bye. The little girl hung up the phone and went to join the Flintstones. An hour later, Auntie called again and asked the same questions. Who was up? Where was Harmony? And would the little girl go check on her? Once again, she walked to the bedroom to go check on Harmony. Yep, same scene. Leg in a 4, quilt around the arm, hair a rat's nest, and face to the side. She walked back to the phone and reported that everything was cool, then asked if she could finally get back to her Looney Tunes. All right, gal, calm down, Auntie said, erupting in that giggle that made people swear she wasn't old enough to vote. Sitting back in front of the TV, grateful to finally be left alone, the little girl began to hear stirring in the back. After a while, Mama came down the hallway with Todd, both fully dressed. She sat him in the little girl's lap and went to the door to get the stroller. Morning, Sprinkles. Hi, Mama. How long you been up? A few hours. Harmony still asleep, Sprinkles volunteered, thinking that would surely be her mother's next question. Well, I'm going to take my little man through the park. He refuses to nap anymore. I know, Manny Man. She cooed down at Todd to draw out his smile. My goodness, it's almost 11. Mama got a late start this morning, didn't she? Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She picked up her baby, who was all smiles and fat cheeks, and lovingly put him in the stroller. Sprinkles, we're gone. Don't let her sleep. Don't let her sleep too long. Okay. Todd blew a raspberry as he rolled out the door, and finally Sprinkles was left in peace. Later, as she watched TV, something kept gnawing at her gut. She was probably subconsciously tuning her ear, waiting for the phone to ring, but it didn't. It was going on 11:30 a.m., and she decided to beat Auntie to the punch, to go and check on Harmony. That was the problem with long breaks from school. Vacation meant the body no longer rose with the sun, especially when the goal was to see the taboo hour of midnight as many times in a week as possible. She stood at the door again. Same scene. The four, the quilt, the hair, the face. Same scene. So what was the problem? Exactly. Same scene. What was the problem? The four, the quilt, the hair, the face. In all those hours, and it had been hours, Harmony hadn't moved once. Not once. The four, the quilt, the hair, the face. Same scene. Same scene. Suddenly, Sprinkles wasn't standing at the door because she hadn't advanced, but she now knew it was because she couldn't. Her eyes immediately sought out her sister's chest, the chest that had risen and fallen only 2 surveillances ago. She desperately ached for that reassurance now. She stared until she had to blink. She stared again, harder. There it was, the movement. But it was wrong, all wrong. Not rising and falling, but unsteadiness interrupting the still. Her eyes were jumping, playing tricks on her, not seeing what was there, but what they expected. They were seeing what they'd seen before. Her fingers were throbbing, and she realized she'd been gripping the door frame like it was essential to her survival. She walked in slowly, 1 foot in front of the other, a mile between each step. The room was frigid. Her eyes scanned the length of her sister's body, from the bottom of her feet to the mask of her face. Harmony was typically a shade of caramel in contrast to Sprinkle's chestnut hue, but now this child's face was pale and her lips were indigo. Their beauty mark had vanished in a sea of inky blue as though it had never been there at all. Sprinkles touched her sister's cheek. Cold. The recoil of her hand was so swift in the tightness of the room that it was audible. She couldn't breathe, as though the memories of inhaling and exhaling had vanished. She felt all at once dizzy, yet steady, above and outside herself, just a pair of eyes watching the physical her below pitch and yaw. The inner stirrings of her mind knew all, knew what was wrong, knew why Harmony was like this, but that knowledge, that recognition hadn't solidified in her brain and descended to her tongue. She couldn't say aloud, Harmony's dead, because it wasn't true. Not true in the sense that it was a belief she held to be indisputable and therefore a fact. Something in her was fighting it, the reality, with all that she had. Sprinkles felt a whimper rise in her throat, but it wasn't accompanied by tears. It was driven by a desperation that made her want to scream, but she couldn't. It was time to retreat, mentally, emotionally, from the reality, from the disaster. Mind talk bombarded the interior of her skull like mortar shells on an enemy front. Mind talk, her internal dialogue, the blissful ignorance finally come to the rescue. Pretty lies to make her believe that what she actually believed wasn't true. This isn't happening. This isn't real. I'm not standing here. She's not lying there like that. I'm only 11. Things like this don't happen to kids. Things like this don't happen when nobody's home. She's only 8. There's nothing wrong. I'm not here. She's not dead. She's not dead. I'm not here and she's not dead. She's dead. There's a precipice beyond which the psyche fractures, where splintered shards of sanity plunge into an abyss. Sprinkles saw this place clearly, as though looking through a window frame with no glass. Somehow, as though through wizardry, she summoned all the strength, courage, and will she had, even her reserves, and took a step forward. Her arm felt heavy as an anchor, and she raised it from her side and touched her sister again. She touched the exposed part of her chest where the undone buttons had left the cloth gaping. Ice cold. She bit her lip. She touched her again, harder. She pushed her chest. Harmony moved, all of her. Her entire rigor-locked body rocked back and then fell heavily like wet earth to the place it was before. Sprinkles tasted blood. She'd bitten through her lip. She pushed again, harder this time. The same thing happened. The entire body, one jointless mass, the corner of the 4 in the air like a macabre contortionist. She jumped back. If helpless were a person, then Sprinkles would have been its daughter, young, terrified, and totally alone. At that point in her life, she'd never known less what she was going to do. Harmony? Her shaking voice sounded unfamiliar to her own ears. Silence. Harmony? Silence. Harmony! She yelled. Silence. She heard the front door close. Mama was home. Sprinkles walked to the front room as though her feet were not her own, but somebody else's, and she was being carried. She stood 5 feet from Mama and watched her fuss with Todd, taking his jacket off and getting his walker situated. The weight of a burdened presence is what finally made her look up. Hey, Sprinkles. Mama, I think there's something wrong with Harmony. Thank you.
SENYAH, thank you for that amazing read. One thing I love about your reading is you made it seem so realistic. There are a lot of life does life a lot, you know, especially dealing with death experiences. So being in the home to actually see your little sister passing away. And I know also in the story, it talks about, you know, the father and stuff like that. So, and I know that a lot of people that we may know are, you know, in this life, experience broken homes and stuff, and especially during this time. What do you think life was like for the family after everyone found out that Harmony had transitioned?
I mean, that's an interesting question because it can look different with every family dynamic, right? But, you know, if I were going to go further into the story with character development, I would imagine that it was, as the title indicates, shattered. If you've ever known any mothers who've lost children, it's quite a devastating sight to behold, and they kind of maneuver differently than they did. Protective instincts go into overdrive, sometime into manic places. I would imagine that Sprinkles and Todd ended up having different maternal experiences, because Sprinkles knew her mother before, and Todd, as an infant, would only know her mother post. So I would imagine that, it's just a probably several years of picking up the pieces and carrying on.
Thank you for that. And now we're going to have a question from the audience. I do see an audience member ask, "What's up with the aunt?"
Yeah, I get that a lot. Auntie sounds suspicious. She's just boo boo. That's it. She's just boo boo. There was no terminal illness that Harmony had that we were watching out for in this story. There was no stranger danger around the corner. She's just a close family member who had a feeling. Why is she on my mind so much? Go check on her. Just one of those things.
But thank you for answering that question. Thanks to the audience member also for bringing that question up. We're going to now go to a commercial break. Thank you, SENYAH.
Thanks so much, Shitty. Take care.
Hi everyone, I'm Danielle. I'm the owner and artist of Paintin' and Poppin' Traveling Paint Parties LLC. Remember, there's no G at the end of painting or poppin'. Contact me today to book your private, in-person, or virtual paint party. We are serving Chicago's south suburbs and northwest Indiana. Parties start at $35 per person, and they also start at $25 per child. Virtual parties start at $40 per person. You have to have a minimum of 8 people, and a deposit is required. You'll receive a live instruction as well as all supplies needed for painting. Virtual parties are held via Zoom. Contact me today to get started. You can reach me at paintinandpoppin@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Paintin' and Poppin', or Instagram at Paintin' and Poppin' Parties. Remember, no G on Paintin' or Poppin'.
Wow, there's been a whole lot of interactivity since the last reading with SENYAH HAYNES, and we want to welcome you back to From a Black Perspective, the virtual reading for the people. This author is Texas-born and now resides in Kansas City, Missouri with her husband and 2 children. She's the creator of Kamina's Creations, an online handcrafted art store. She holds a bachelor's of liberal arts from the University of Missouri at Kansas City and is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She contributes to the people with Memoirs of a Hidden Pain, which is a compilation of life experiences and creative license, including traumatic abuse, she explains. Please welcome the author of Memoirs of a Hidden Pain, Monica Brown. How are you, Monica?
I'm great, thank you.
Good to see you, and thank you so much for sharing your piece. Are you ready to start reading?
Let's go.
All right, go ahead.
Earliest memories. My earliest childhood memories of a time gone by, flashes of images like an old movie reel. Some are bright and sunny, filled with childlike wonder and innocence. Others are dark and misty as though they're not my own. I find these images playing faster and faster, and as the time I spend alone increases. I try to make sure that I take time to stop and admire the clouds whenever possible, as this was my favorite earliest memory. It keeps me grounded amidst the turmoil of my world. As a child, I was prone to horrific nightmares that still haunt me as an adult. Following up on the dreams, I realized that some of the nightmares weren't dreams. They resulted in experiences that were too painful or traumatic to vividly remember. They're still fuzzy in my brain, but I figured out underlying messages that my subconscious has been trying to tell me about for 3 decades. I often wonder how I make it through some of the more hellish episodes that I've experienced. This has to be God's way of telling me I'm stronger than I ever could have thought possible. When I was a child, I wanted to be a lawyer. At the age of 12, my world exploded into a million pieces. At that point, I decided I needed to understand why people say and do things. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer for at least 6 years. Still, in college, I decided that I truly needed to understand human nature. I went into psychology, and more to the point, I wanted to work in the behavioral analysis unit with the FBI. I've always felt the pull to help others, and it seems that now this is my way to tell my story. I used to think that my childhood was fairly normal until I started talking about my experiences and realized most people can't even comprehend some of the things I've witnessed or lived through. There are not too many memories that I can call before the age of 12. This is when my world shattered and my family kind of helped me put pieces back together. The psychology in my background tells me that I've blocked out 2 painful memories. I managed to disassociate to protect my mind. Because the memories are a veiled mist, I will relay them as accurately and coherently as possible. Still, it isn't always easy to do. I don't often speak of my parents. Mostly I speak of my mother, and for good reason. My father's life ended when I was 12, and that's part of this book's purpose, to chronicle that particular journey and how it shaped me into who I am today. To explain, I'll need to back up a little bit and fill in some background. When I was little, my mother and I used to watch Designing Women religiously. I must have been around 6 or 7 at the time, and there was an episode I will never forget. After watching it, I wasn't sure how to feel or what to say, so I said nothing at all. I still wonder if I had spoken up back then, if our lives would have been changed. The episode was about a woman and her daughter that were fleeing an abusive husband. I remember relating to that little girl with all of her fear and her guilt, and I cried myself to sleep that night. There was a line where the little girl said something to the effect of, "We don't talk about what happens inside of our house, outside of our house." That was a signal that something was wrong in my household, as I'd had a version of this ingrained into me from an early age. I can recall multiple occasions of hearing my mother and father fighting when I'd gone to bed. It would get so loud that I'd wake up terrified and unable to get back to sleep until things had calmed down. I know the sound of guns being cocked, not because my parents took me hunting, but because when the fights would escalate, my father would point a gun at my mother and threaten to kill her. What I didn't realize at the time was the extent to which my father abused my mother. I still remember 2 times that my father punished me for something that I had done. The first time I can remember, I was around 7 or 8. I'd gone outside without permission after school, gotten my shoes muddy, and then I tried to hide them until I could clean them. My father saw them when he came home from work, and he spanked me. The spanking resulted in welts up and down my back and legs, and I had to sleep on my stomach for a few days due to pain. I can remember feeling the braided part of his leather belt burning every mistake into my skin. The agony of trying to bathe as the soap would pour over my fresh wounds, and I remember trying to cry silently so as not to re-invoke his rage. The feeling of my jeans rubbing up against the injuries was excruciating. Still, I went to school every day and pretended that it didn't hurt. I didn't even let my father see that he'd hurt me because it was the only act of defiance that I could show. The second incident happened maybe 4 months before my father's death, right after we moved to Phoenix. I'd gone into the front door of the house we were sharing with my aunt to check on my cat. As I walked into the living room, my father was roughhousing with a few of my male cousins, so I simply went out the side door while taking care of the cat. My father called me back inside, and without even giving me a chance to explain any of my actions, he backhanded me so hard that I flew across the living room. This was the first time that he'd ever struck me in front of anyone outside of my mother. It was also the last. At that moment, I made up in my mind that he would never lay his hands on me again. And he must have seen it in my face because he never even attempted after that incident. Now, I need to pause here and state something that my mother has told me repeatedly. No one that met my father wasn't afraid of him. There was, however, only one person who would stand up to him, and that was me. Based on the reasons I've mentioned earlier, this scared my mother more than anything else in her life. Imagine with me, if you will, a child standing up to this man by the age of 3. I was, after all, my father's daughter. This man who thrived on the fear that he instilled in others, and his own child had the nerve to stand up to him consistently. Until the night he died, I was still standing up to my father. I realized that he enjoyed inflicting pain and fear pretty early on, that he lived to torture others and would continue until he had someone cowering in fear. I flat out refused to give him that satisfaction. The last family gathering I attended was a birthday party for one of my baby cousins. All of our family was there with the children of one cousin, with the addition of a cousin that was married into the family. We'll call her Deandra. Her cousin's name is Evan. As the sun set, the adults decided to move their party to a bar. The kids were left at home with the ones that were not quite 21. The older cousins and uncles in the group stepped into a room to get high and left the younger ones, maybe 15 and under, in the living room to watch TV. Everything was fine for an hour or so. Then my dad arrived and said he needed Ebony to come to the bar because her cousin was too drunk to drive. That was the last time I saw my father alive. He didn't even pause to look at me as he left. I still remember silently pleading with Ebony not to go with him, thinking, the drunken wife, Deandra, doesn't drink. Another hour or so passed when my mother arrived at the house that we were at the party. As soon as I saw her, I knew. I knew that this night would be different from the other nights that she'd been beaten while my father was in a rage. I quietly answered if she asked if my father had been. I wept inside as I watched the dawning horror on her face. She told me to get her things, and then Deandra was speeding back to our residence with us in tow. My mother kept repeating for the entire ride, he raped her. I know he did. That's what he does. There was some more back and forth dialogue, and my mother very clearly said, when he's done with her, he's going to come home and beat me because of what he did to her. He'll probably kill me. Promise that you won't let him get away with it and that he can't have my daughter. Deandra didn't say another word. She just sped up to get to our house. When we got home, I was immediately sent to my bedroom. I know I dozed off because I woke up to my mother answering the phone and Deandra screaming that Ebony was on the phone. From here, my aunt began to get hysterical and yelled, what do you mean he raped you? As they hung up, my mother spoke to my aunt and said, he's coming here. He's going to kill me. There are more time lapses for me here. I have no clear indication of how much time passed, but it couldn't have been more than 2 hours. I know I fell asleep because I had the strangest dream when my father was coming to tell me that he loved me despite everything he'd done and he was sorry. He said goodbye. Suddenly, I was ripped from my dream by 3 gunshots and I knew it was my parents. By the time I could get out of my bedroom, my mother had come back in, dropped the rifle, and was calling the police. All she said was her name, our address, and I just shot my husband. Realizing that I was standing there, she pulled me into a tight hug and began to apologize. At 12 years old, my reply to her was so honest that it was scary. I whispered through my tears, Mom, I know. I know what he's been doing to you. I would have ended up killing him to save you. I planned to kill him to save us. I don't blame you. I know what he was.
Thank you so much for that compelling reading, Monica. I have to tell you that the first time that I read this, I vowed that I wasn't going to read it again until I processed all of my feelings. I honestly think that this literary work needs to be produced into some sort of film because it reminded me of so many classic films, but specifically Mississippi Damned on Netflix. I don't know if anybody knows of that, but it takes so much courage for us to share the darkest areas and parts of ourselves in our lives. And it seems that we often are made to be silenced, not only by communication or our words, but the acts that create fear in our lives for years to come. We need to know in our community that speaking out is necessary to process our woes. Can you please share what regular practices you have to create a healthy dynamic in your core family today because of your traumatic experiences?
Absolutely. So there are some things that I do daily that weren't necessarily done for me in my childhood. I create a safe space for everybody in my home. So I talk to my children, my husband, I talk to my mom. You know, how's your day? Is everything okay? Anything going on? And I'll probe if they don't certainly themselves to see what's going on.
Thank you for sharing that. It takes a mighty warrior and someone with purpose and intention every day to be able to create a healthy life for your children and for your family and to forge with having healthy relationships. It looks like rumor has it that you already have a book cover for your upcoming novel. Can you tell us about it?
I do. The artwork for the novel Memoirs of a Hidden Pain is about different kinds of masks, because that is the ongoing theme throughout the story, is the masks and how I've used them to just kind of mask everything I've lived through.
So now, how do you deal with masking in your environment, wherever you are?
I try to be a little bit more. I'm definitely a lot more vocal with my husband when things are bothering me. If I'm doing like some kind of triggering scenario, I do everything I can to let somebody know, hey, I need to back off from this girl, but I don't want to have to tell you why.
And do you think those relationships that are external to your core family or your nuclear family, you do more masking, or do you try your hardest to be as transparent as possible?
I still mask. I'm still learning. I'm still a work in progress.
Yes, we all are still works in progress, and we just want to thank you for your time, and I can't wait to read the broader piece, Monica. I hope you have a great day, and thank you.
Check out Comina's Creations for all your usable and wearable art needs. Customized tumblers, personalized pens and stylists, personalized clear handbags, designer glow-in-the-dark domino sets, and other products personally designed by Comina's Creations. Visit Comina, COMINA''S Creations on the web and all your social media outlets. Back to the show.
Welcome back to From a Black Perspective. Shouts out again to Robin and Monica. Monica, that was a very, very deep story. We're now here with Arthur Ken Compton. Ken Compton is a native of St. Louis, Missouri. He's also a graduate of Truman State University and a fellow chapter member in the mighty Muta chapter of Phi Beta Sigma alongside author Eddie Pierce. In his childhood, he was inspired by authors R.L. Stein and Christopher Pike. He's been writing since 2007. He's also contributed to the series From a Black Perspective, The Blood, where he published an excerpt of Graffiti Part, a surreal crime drama series of the same name. Now, Ken, we can go ahead with your reading.
Thank you so much, JD, and thank you to Rainbow Room Publishing and all of our viewers for spending time with us this afternoon. My reading is indeed Geraldine, taken from a Black Perspective, The People. Lights out was at 9:30 p.m. and 218 was the last room Barbara had to inspect. She peered inside where a moonlit window illuminated a frail man resting on an angled Tempur-Pedic in an otherwise dark, somber space. There was something familiar about him. His silver hair was unkempt. His eyes were partially opened. His brown skin was cluttered with moles, and breathing tubes nestled at the nostrils instead of the mouth left him free to speak. The man turned and met her interest. Her father had the same sunken face. "I miss Geraldine," he said. "Come again, sir?" "I miss Geraldine." Barbara hesitated. The man looked away. I'll send a care team member to assist you, she said before departing. Barbara Noble, administrator, had been newly inscribed on the door plate of the large office at the end of the hall. The Safe Haven hospice logo greeted her from the computer screen once she was seated behind the cherrywood desk. Curiosity inspired a few keystrokes that brightened the monitor with a patient list. Melvin Henry Thomas resided in 218, age 81, stage 4 emphysema, one grandson in the Marines overseas, no other known relatives, no mind-fogging side effects from treatment, no one named Geraldine. Oh well. Barbara messaged a care attendant, and logged off. The burgundy executive chair cooled her back as she reclined. It was uncommon for administrators to take personal interest in residents, but Mr. Thomas's resemblance to her father disrupted objectivity. I need to see you today, Barbs, he said some Tuesday morning not long ago. Daddy, I can't. It's a 4-hour drive, and I just started a new job in a hospice. I'll come this weekend and bring you those Crown Candy chocolates. I don't need chocolate. I need to see my only daughter as soon as possible. She laughed it off and replied, I'll see you this weekend. 2 days later, he died of heart failure. The permeating stink of sickly bodies greeted her upon arriving at Safe Haven early the next day. A gulp of brew broke the stench as she walked towards the stairwell, avoiding the wait for the elevator. On the second floor, room 218 was to the left, where not much had changed from the night before. Good morning, Mr. Thomas. She stepped inside and placed her coffee and purse on the bedside table. Is there anything a staff member or I can do for you? The familiar face greeted her. I miss Geraldine. Who was Geraldine? And I'll end my reading there.
Thank you, Ken, for that amazing story. Based on experience from me, taking care of an elderly, my grandfather. So this kind of gives kind of an insight on what we have to deal with, especially with our elderly. The personality of the main character, which you've spoken of, seems to me that she's a professional caregiver. And it's so clear, but did you also draw any personal experience as a caregiver on this story?
I actually don't have any experience with caregiving myself, especially someone experiencing, facing death themselves. But this piece was inspired by my grandmother, who I speak of in the author's note. And she truly did miss Geraldine, as I mentioned. And people often ask, well, where do you get your ideas? They ask authors that all the time. And I used something that my grandmother used to say when she went through that, missing Geraldine, and I just turned it into a story.
Well, we appreciate that. And then let's take a question from our audience. When can we expect the first novel in the series Graffiti Park?
Well, what I can tell you is that Graffiti Park is indeed underway. I have started the writing of the novel. What I can also say is that I'm reusing characters that are in the short story, as well as introducing new characters as well. I don't have an exact timeline, but believe me, to those who were a fan of the short story, I appreciate all of your encouragement, and believe me, it's coming. So I won't disappoint you. I hope I don't.
Well, thank you for that, and we'll be looking forward to that Graffiti Park. And thank you, Ken, for your time. And we're going to go to another commercial break.
Thank you.
Available now from Dreamwriter Inc. Becoming a Fearless Author by Crystal Renee Tillman with Dreamwriter Inc., the essential writer's guide for authors both new and published. Get your copies today.
Hello, my name is Keith Clark, founder and CEO of Beyond All Limits. Just coming to you guys with a quick, very important event. Save the date. July 28th through the 30th. Again, July 28th, 30th, as Beyond All Limits hosts our second empowerment conference in Houston, Texas. We'll be offering panel discussion on mental health. We're going to have brunch, day party, you name it. Just a weekend full of empowerment. Our theme this year is Show Up, Show Out. Again, my name is Keith Clark, founder and CEO. Follow us on all social media platforms beyond all limits. And you guys be blessed.
Visit www.dreamwriterinc today and don't miss that empowerment conference. Back to the show. Catch actor Harold Dennis in The Judas Run.
Can you get up? Where's the device, Miss Frank?
Pronouns.
So? What? Why you ain't talking? You did a lot of talking when you was up there. Now you got nothing to say to me.
I didn't invite you.
And fear.
All right, Stevens. If you could mess around with one famous black woman, who would it be? Don't hold back either.
I'm not gonna answer your question.
Man, loosen up. As you can see, there's nothing happening out here tonight. So, try to have some fun. Let's see. I'd go for Angela Bassett.
From a Black Perspective, The Blood. Available now from any of our featured authors and at Rainbow Room Publishing. Contact actor Harold Dennis for all your acting needs at 99filmsonthewall@gmail.com. Now let's get back to the show.
This author is the creator and the vision behind To a Woman's Heart and has a mission to uplift, motivate, encourage, and empower women. She is the president of Sisters of the Hood, a not-for-profit organization that provides a holistic approach towards self-sufficiency for those in underserved communities. Her passion is to work with those less fortunate, and she is the author and also a contributor to the people with My House Cried Tears. We want to welcome Miss Renee Thomas. How are you, Renee?
I'm good, Robin. How are you?
It's good to see you. I'm great, thank you. We'll go ahead and get started with your reading.
Okay. My childhood started out simple. All the normal things happened in my life. I did what normal kids do. When we lived on Madison, I went to Willa Catholic Grammar School. We stayed above a church. There was a restaurant right next door owned by Mr. Reynolds. Polly Cleaners was across the street, and the doctor's office was right down the street. Everything was in close proximity. We would always receive a scratch hot breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We girls very rarely ate restaurant food, and soda pops were out of order. We drank lemonade, Kool-Aid, iced tea, and water. Every time we ate dinner, it came with a dessert. My mother would get up before day to cook. My mother was a housewife, and my father was a construction worker. We had friends that lived up above us, and we had friends that stayed next door. The good part about that was the building was so close that we could climb out of our windows and go into the other's house. Our playtime consisted of throwing rocks at the rats in the fence. I used to love to eat grits and sausages, but one day my mother was cooking. I got a plate, piled it up with some grits, put my sugar and butter in them, and went back to get my sausages. I heard plop, plop, plop. There were at least 4 roaches that had fallen from around the light. Now, mind you, my mother was a clean woman, but the people who lived upstairs were so neat, so nasty. That was the last day I ate grits. We used to have to clean house faithfully on Fridays. I never had a problem with cleaning. My mother would go to the laundromat, and one day she came home. We had put on some of the clothes, and my sisters began to itch. My mother later found out that some fiberglass curtains had been washed in one of the washing machines. So she started running us some water and rubbing us down with calamine lotion. Not long after that, I developed tonsillitis, so much so that my whole face was swollen and my ears disappeared into my face. It looked like someone had blown air in my face. My mother was taking me to the doctor, and as I walked out the door waiting on my mother, I looked down the stairs and there was a prostitute in the hallway, squatting, using the bathroom. Someone had forgotten to lock the door. I ran back and told my mother. She said, "Don't worry about it. I'll clean it up." I thought that was the most disgusting thing ever. Why would you want to clean up someone else's mess? But she did when we got back from the doctor. My mother was so quiet, mild spoken, had the prettiest smile. My one sister loved to read and watch TV. I don't know if the other sister really had anything she loved to do. I was the cleaner. Fridays were a clean day, so we cleaned. We had this dining room set, and one of the chairs was broken. When you sat in it, the seat would go through and the legs would open up. I was told to discard the chair, so I sat on the back porch until I finished cleaning. Then I would take it all down to the garbage. It didn't make sense to run up and down the stairs. My daddy came home in a three-piece suit and a job hat with a feather in it, and he wore Stacy Adams shoes. He proceeded to go out on the porch and sit down. I heard it crack. Before I could tell him not to sit in the chair, I ran to the door and he was going down the stairs. Mind you, the back stairs were winding wood stairs. His hat was still on his head and he was cussing down. I knew when he hit the bottom, I would get the whooping of my life. But at that time, I didn't care because it was funny as hell. When he got to the bottom, there was a porch, then a drop, and then the backyard. He hit the porch, dropped into the backyard, and slid right in between two garbage cans. He got up, dusted himself off, and I got my behind torn up. But it was okay. I got a good laugh. Right after that, I remember my mother saying we had to move. We were moving way west to a house and a park right across the street where we could play freely. My last experience before we moved off Madison was when Dr. King was assassinated. I remember being in school and I was the only one responsible for going and getting my two sisters. And then we would walk home. My mother knew from where we walked that we should be home at a specific time. But this day was different. School let out, and I got my sisters. People were running all over, bursting bottles, and I told my sisters, let's walk fast. When we reached the corner, my mother was standing at the bottom of the stairs. I was so happy to see her face. Not too long after we got home, my father arrived. We were instructed not to turn on any lights. The apartment was lit with candles for our light, and I sat in the living room window. My father and I watched them burn, break places into places of business and steal TVs and clothes out of the cleaners. They broke into the drugstores and turned over cars. It was unbelievable, but it was happening right before my eyes. I asked my daddy why, and he said because Black people are mad. They murdered Martin Luther King. By the time daybreak hit, Madison Street was torn up and it would never be the same again. I couldn't fully understand why at the time. I just knew people were mad. Right after that, Madison Street became a part of my past, but I will always remember some parts.
Thank you so much for that reading, Renee. I just want to talk to you about that prostitute in the hallway. No, but seriously, growing up as a little girl, you had a lot of things that happened in this two-parent household that were for your good and some not. So this story, from what I read, I think that there was a timeline from like maybe 15 to 18 years that you discussed. And eventually you started to internalize your feelings because of the trauma you experienced. For example, your father ended up dragging you through the park and kicked you out of the family home. This was all due to a misunderstanding you were unable to explain to him because of his authority. Can you discuss with us how a lack of being able to communicate caused you to shut down? And how do you deal with yourself today and give yourself grace?
First, I had to understand that my father's mother passed when he was a baby. So he was tossed from household to household. His ideal of taking care was just paying bills. So he was not a touchy-feely kind of person. And so when he drugged me through the park, I was in disbelief because he's my blood, not my stepfather. He is actually my real father. And the
Yes,
most embarrassing part, it was in the middle of the summer, and everybody is outside in the middle of the summer. And I had to deal with that. And then to be his child and tell me I'm not welcome back in the house, that didn't sit well with me at all. So I feel like, I'm just a throwaway. That's how I really felt. I was
Mhm.
being thrown away. I wasn't being cared for and I wasn't being loved. And so I internalized a lot of things. But then as I got older, I started to understand when you don't know yourself, when you don't know how to express love and you wasn't given the love that you needed, that's what happened to you. You pass
Mhm.
it on. It's a domino effect. And so
Yeah.
I had to not hold him accountable for what he didn't know. And I had to take what I experienced and learn and try to share with others and help others with the trauma that I experienced.
Thank you so much for that, Renee. There are quite a few comments speaking to maybe having some relatability there. What do you tell to the people that you inspire through your empowerment programs about how to deal with neglect where there was an intent?
I tell everybody your past determines your present, and your present defines your future. And the most important thing you can do is heal from your past so you can have a better present and future. If you don't know how to unpack, if you
Mhm.
don't know how to heal and forgive and look at it that whoever the individual is conducting or doing the things to you and looking at it from their perspective, because most of the time when we look at things, we look at it from our perspective, how we've been hurt. But we don't understand maybe there's a trauma on their side that they need to look at and try to digest it that way and not hold on to it. I mean, it's an experience, and everything that we go through, the message, there's always a message in the middle of the madness. And that's what I tell everybody I talk to.
And it looks like we have another meaty question here. How did the relationship with your father affect your adult relationships? Maybe start in your 20s.
My relationship with my father affected my adult relationship. I don't take no mess off of men, period.
Yes.
And I tell them, anybody that I date, that I had to take it from my father. He's my parent. But beyond that, I'm not required to accept disrespect. You treat me any kind of way, and you talking to me any kind of way. And that's probably why the reason that I'm single to this day, because of those situations that I dealt with. Uh, a lot of people, men, don't understand when you relay that type of message, you're not dealing with that. I need to be respected. You need to talk to me in a certain tone. I can't handle that's a trigger for me. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
won't deal with it. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you shedding some light on your personal life and also how this story was developed tonight. I hope you have a wonderful one. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
All right.
We're going to go into commercial break.
Surly, keep doing your thing, bro.
Step your t-shirt game up. Surly.
Hello, my name is Tamika Lyons, and I'm the founder and owner of Brown Babies Books. Brown Babies Books is a children and teens diverse reads bookstore based here in Chicago. We believe that children of color need to see themselves in the books that they read. Our store specializes in curating books for teens and children that have been written and illustrated by authors of color. Find us online, shop with us online, and like us on our socials at Brown Babies Books. Thank you. Now go and get those babies some new books.
Step your shirt game up with Surly Shirts, SURLY shirts.com, and visit brownbabiesbooks.com. Now, back to the show.
welcome back to From a Black Perspective. Again, good job, man, Robin and Auntie Renee. Just a lot of the story, the comment about the grits, the salt and pepper versus the sugar, but that's another story for another day. And for the record, Auntie Renee is not to be played with. But I'm going to introduce you guys to Dr. Tamara Hill. She has a BA in English from JSU, a MA in Political Science from the University of Central Oklahoma, a MA in English Literature from Grambling State University, and a PhD in Humanities with an English core from the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, and other great accomplishments. Her current research involves Malcolm X, pop culture, and African American biography. She is also a wife, mother, and a professor at 3 institutions of higher learning in the Atlanta metro area. Now we'll listen to her reading.
While music historians are uncertain when All Right, the 4th single from the To Pimp a Butterfly album, became a protest anthem, it is without a doubt declares the resilience of Black people, while at the same time has components of the outcries from James Brown, the turbulent 60s, and the Civil Rights Movement. His echo of Gay's call for peace and love, all while exposing the heaviness of police violence. And denouncing the stereotypes of Black people that continue to plague the nation as a whole can also be perceived in Lamar's All Right lyrics. According to American Studies and media scholar William Horns, Lamar's progressive music places him in a long line of African-American artists and activists who work both inside and outside of the mainstream to advance a counterculture that opposes the racist stereotypes propagated in white-owned media and culture. As a young Black man who was once a young Black boy on Section 8, Lamar witnessed the escalating tensions in his own drug-infested community amongst gang members, senseless murders, and the overt tactics used by law enforcement that often occurred in his neighborhood. So it was not difficult for him to use and implement the gritty urban verbiage that described the experiences and emotions of most Black people during 2015 and beyond. Even though race relations between Black people and law enforcement from the summer of 2015 to that currently in 2022 have continued to escalate with violent acts and inequality, Lamar, through his lyrics, declares there is hope and that we, as a people, will stand up to these injustices and continue to fight for those whose voices often go unheard. As contemporary hip-hop artist, and from his perspective, Lamar is acknowledging that we are not dependent on a country built on the backs of our enslaved ancestors to make it all right, but to appreciate and understand our struggle as a people and how music has always provided us with a cathartic release for our hurt and or anger. NPR writer Andrew LeBon explained Lamar's inspiration for All Right and why music is important to him by affirming, the author of the upcoming book promised that you will sing about me, the power and poetry of Kendrick Lamar. Lewis interviewed Lamar after release To Pimp a Butterfly and learned the artist was inspired to write All Right by a trip to South Africa, specifically the cell on Robben Island where Nelson Mandela was in prison. Similarly, Lamar told NPR in a 2015 interview that he was thinking about the history of chattel slavery in this country. 400 years ago, as slaves, we prayed and sung joyful songs to keep our heads level-headed with what was going on, Lamar said. 400 years later, we still need that music to heal. And I think that All Right is definitely one of those records that makes you feel good no matter what the times are. By his own recognition, Lamar provides us insight into his inspiration for All Right. Concerning Black oppression and why the history of it continues to manifest for Black people in the forms of police brutality, the lack of economic opportunities, and the mass incarceration of African Americans at an alarming rate when compared to other ethnicities. Consequently, music, especially Black music, has been a healing force in our communities, and so has our relationship with it. As previously acknowledged by James Brown, Marvin Gaye, and now Lamar, Black grotesque music, whether legendary or contemporary, has the potential to not only heal our people, but also to let the world know that we will not continue to be victimized by our oppressors. Additionally, the music video for All Right received 4 nominations at the 2015 MTV Music Awards, including Video of the Year and Best Male Video, confirmed by the radio station 97.9. However, Lamar only won 2 Grammys that night for Best Rap Performance and Best Rap Song for his song, I. On the contrary, It is the intense and powerful live performance of All Right by Lamar that gave the world a visual representation of what struggle looks like for African Americans who constantly have to deal with racism, white supremacy, and in his words, the popo at the BET Music Video Awards in 2015. In his live performance on BET on June 28, 2015, with an oversized, battered, and torn American flag, while on top of a police car, Lamar begins his lyrical anthem by chanting the infamous line from the movie The Color Purple, "All's my life, I had to fight." This dialogue occurs in the classic movie with Sophia, played by Oprah Winfrey, declares her independence and refuses to let another man, including her husband, Harpo, brutalize or violate her ever again. In response to the use of Lamar's sample of her work, Alice Walker recounted, "I'm happy for him. I think he's understanding that it is the truth of it, especially for poor people and people of color in this country. We've had to fight all our lives. And it's a good thing that we can talk about it across generations." Lamar's performance was not only triumph that night on BET in 2015, it was also an exorbitant display of masterful lyrics that were further substantiated by having Black men on stage that were incarcerated. Others walked in a chain gang from the Jim Crow era, which illustrated that despite the madness of racism, white privilege, and oppression, there will always be hope that Black people will prevail and overcome. Scholar Narako Manambi elaborates further about his performance by writing, "More than the lyrics themselves, it is a paratext of visuals in the form of performances and the music that has connected All Right with police brutality." On June 28, 2015, Lamar's caused a controversy at the BET Awards when he performed a song on top of a police car, backed by the enormous projection of a tattered American flag. The symbolism of a police car, conquered by hip-hop graffiti and serving as a stage for African-American star, was evidently too much for Geraldo Rivera, who grumbled on Fox News, "This is why I say hip-hop has done more damage to young African-Americans than racism." Lamar retorted on TMZ that the song was about hope, not hatred, and refocused the problem of reality of police brutality rather than on the way it was being expressed in hip-hop. In contrast to his live performance at various venues, the video for All Right was shot in all Black and white, which set the mood for several white policemen carrying a car while a young Black man is lying on the ground. This specific image can be perceived either as pallbearers carrying a coffin or bringing a symbolic death to the Black Lives Matter movement. By the end of the musical narrative, he was shot and killed by a police officer from a lamppost, but ultimately dies with a subtle smile on his face. As he falls to the ground after being shot to death, he attempts to complete the monologue that he started at the beginning of the video. Whether his lyrics are a masterful wordplay or politically motivated as a member of the hip-hop community, his activism and awareness are evident in the contemporary version of the Black anthem, known as All Right. Reminiscent of the famous We Shall Overcome protest song during the Civil Rights Movement with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Black nationalism of Malcolm X. When we talk about the systematic oppression, white supremacy, and the ultimate deaths of Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, George Floyd, and countless other Black people, mainstream music consistently avoids these issues. However, the chosen one, music consistently known as Kendrick Lamar, has never shied away from taking a stance as an artist and a conscious Black man, similar to much rap and hip hop. Lamar evokes past events and their surrounding cultural politics as a way of interpreting the present day issue of colorism in African American communities. He addresses a history of discrimination shared by Africans and African Americans based in Eurocentric colonial practices. Lamar's engagement relates to the blues matrix because through his music, he reinterprets ancestral experiences of discrimination as a way of understanding the pain caused by racism in the present, according to Hefferman. His words also evoke his memories as a child who grew up in the neighborhood full of gangbangers and crime and with minimal opportunities for survival. Therefore, it is his own self-awareness that is apparent as the foundation for his lyrics, All Right. Because while he knows that he has made it out of the hood, many African Americans, including Lamar, are still struggling to exist in the midst of police violence, systematic oppression, and overt discrimination, the vestiges which remain from slavery. While his lyrics are infused with jazz, African drums, and Afro beats, Lamar provides a definitive narrative of the Black struggle and engaging in political activism with cautious, optimistic backdrop that constantly looms in the background, For example, it was during the multiple protests across the country that the hard-hitting chorus, "We gonna be all right," channeled protesters' rage as they shouted it on the streets. Soon, videos of protesters chanting and thought pieces about the song's connection to the Black Lives Matter movement flooded the internet, according to Gilead. Moreover, the research into Lamar and his inspirations to write such a conscious and resonating song can benefit the systematic study of past artists such as James Brown and Marvin Gaye to contemporary artists and their protest and resistance music. Alternatively, we as a society can formulate a psychological analysis of Kendrick Lamar as an activist and his compositions in relation to the perceptual, sentimental, and social responses to the contemporary anthem, All Right. From either perspective, the rap song is and has remained a part of pivotal moments in 2015 for Black history and American tragedies. Saheed Joseph avows, All Right is a song that moves beyond Kendrick Lamar's personal tragedy, directing his words to be relevant to the larger context of the Black Lives Matter movement. According to Cone, the important contribution of the blues is their affirmation of Black humanity in the face of immediate absurdity. All Right is used as a protest song that affirms Black humanity in the context of police killing. The statement from Saeed captures All Right's necessity and validity as an anthem for Black Lives Matter movement and the continued struggle that Black people face every day of their lives in a place where all humans are allegedly equal. Then there's Lamar's fourth album release, Damn, in 2017, the most significant production of his career to date because it's garnered him a Pulitzer Prize for music. The album, according to music historians, won Best Rap Album and is the first of its kind to win a Pulitzer Prize despite it not being jazz or non-classical work. Lamar was bestowed this honor on April 16, 2018. According to History.com, it affirms that it was the first time the award had gone to musical work outside the genres of classical music and jazz, a watershed moment for the Pulitzers and Lamar and a sign of the American cultural elite's recognition of hip-hop as a legitimate artistic medium. No other artist in hip-hop genre or history has received this exceptional award for their lyrical compositions. However, one can firmly disagree that Lamar winning it made him legitimate. To clarify this perception, the chosen one was an established, introspective, talented, and observant Black rapper from Compton, already crowned as the messiah by the hip-hop world long before the Pulitzer Prize board decided to characterize him as being legitimate. Even with this prestigious award, Lamar has remained humble, coincidentally, the name of one of his hit singles from the Damn album, because he continues to produce effectual, conscious music, also found in the Black Panther soundtrack, where he is credited for writing 14 of his compositions. Over the course of 4 albums, Lamar has been awarded 13 Grammys. He's only trailing behind Jay-Z and Kanye West, both of whom have won 24 apiece. But music historians feel it will not be long before the chosen one surpasses them at some point in his career. However, when asked about his activism, his music, and his perception and his audacity to have hope that the Black struggle will eventually overcome, Kendrick responds by saying in an interview with Inosan Ahmad, I have a greater purpose, he says. God put something in my heart to get across. And that's what I'm going to focus on, using my voice as an instrument and doing what he needs to be done. What James Brown, Marvin Gaye, and contemporary artist Kendrick Lamar have done with their voices, self-awareness, and lyrical compositions have proven that as Black artists, they were and are aware of what's going on. And that did not stand, and they did not stand by and do nothing as they observed their people going through the struggle of white supremacy, racism, discrimination, and a plethora of societal ills that continue to hammer this country based on the atrocity from the past. What's more, even though Brown and Gaye were not politicians or Baptist ministers like Dr. King, they also experienced discrimination, police brutality, and overt racist acts of segregation as young Black boys who grew up in Washington, D.C. and Augusta, Georgia. Then their experiences were repetitive in the music industry, not being allowed to eat in restaurants with white people, being followed by the KKK, or seeing the multiple colored only signs on buildings that they could only enter from the back as young men who were traveling the country on tour buses. As a result, these social experiences and the political stances are fully verbalized in Brown's Say It Loud and Gaye's What's Going On, as interpretive anthems from 2 legendary Black men who refused to let civil unrest go unnoticed, whereas Lamar, a contemporary artist born decades after Brown and Gaye, utilizes the lyrical thesis of All Right, not to spread hate, as Geraldo Rivera alleged, but to remind Black people that the struggle has not ended because we are still here, and in the words of Dr. King, we shall overcome. In closing, we must certainly thank James Brown, Marvin Gaye, and Kendrick Lamar for their contributions to the genre of protest music and resistance.
We want to thank Dr. Tamara Hill for that amazing read. Coming from a musical background, I know us as African Americans use music to express our feelings, and then it's an expression of who we are. And the music back then and in this day and time, it kind of speaks to what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially with police brutality, oppression, racism. So I applaud Kendrick Lamar and Marvin Gaye and James Brown for standing up for what they believe in. Being an artist, sometimes we get boggled down with so many things that goes on in our community, and having a purpose behind that gift, you need to make sure that you're changing someone's life in a positive, in a positive way. We can take it, a perception of what the music really is, but the story behind, the artist's gift and their music speaks a lot of, what they're feeling. So we do thank again Dr. Tamara Hill for that amazing read. And we're going to take a commercial break.
This is Phil Esteem, founder of the Esteem Awards. Since 2007, the Esteem Awards has honored local and national organizations and individuals for their continued support and service of the African American and LGBTQ plus communities in the areas of entertainment, media, civil rights, business, and the arts. This year, July 1st, 2023, we will be hosting our free event from 1 to 3 p.m. at Sidetrack in Chicago. That address is 3349 North Holsted. Now, while we're waiting to obtain our funding from our various sources, we find it necessary to have this GoFundMe campaign. I hope that you will support us by giving us whatever you can to support our marketing, banners, setup fees for the awards. And remember, every little bit counts. You can visit GoFundMe.com/F as in Frank /16th Annual Esteem Awards. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Please consider donating to the GoFundMe campaign and don't miss the 16th Annual Esteem Awards. Back to the show.
All right, y'all. So I'm back. I hope you missed me. I got some great co-hosts, man. Robin and JD. Just all day, man. I love them. And I hope you all enjoyed these readings, man. I said it on some occasions, as the one that had the privilege, I should say, of working with them and editing them over and over again, or reading it, for our purposes of editing. And to be honest, there really was not a lot that needed to be changed in any case. But every time I read it and I'm looking at all these videos in preparation for today, I had just been thoroughly inspired, entertained, educated by all of our contributing authors. And I hope that you all feel the same way. Now, we come to my favorite part of this whole get up. So for anybody that did this with us last year, you may remember that we did a series of tribute videos where I go around behind the authors' backs and I talk to all of their loved ones. And I ask them to just send some love and some encouragement to the authors. Everything that I try to do, but I need some help to really push them out there sometimes, and to just to remind them that of how great they are and what they're doing. So yeah, and I saw somebody in the comment was like the wardrobe change. Yeah, baby, Diana Ross, circa 1980, 1989. You're gonna get at least three changes. So I'm gonna spin around like Wonder Woman and bam, I'm at the homeland. We'll talk about that some more later. But and that's so cute that I saw that comment from SENYAH because we had some backstage talk. Thank God we can do that and keep everything moving good. But last year when we did this, and I see a couple of comments about the shirt, and actually that's why I've been wearing it for like months. This one and the previous one. Get on over to heritagehill.com. We were unable to get an ad from them in time enough for today. But yeah, if you dig in the gear, man, Lord knows I love it. I done wore this one like three times since y'all saw me at karaoke. And you'll see a video replay of that if you didn't see it earlier today when I remind you of the prizes. Those of you who are already contacted in the comments, that'll be an opportunity for you to identify your prizes. But the matter at hand. So last year not last year, when we did the last book, this is just always tricky because, you get people that have some nerves and you got schedules and we all adults. It's hard to get this sort of thing done. And so it had just been burning my heart. I'm not going to lie to you that I did not have one for Miss SENYAH HAYNES and all of her greatness. So SENYAH HAYNES, how you feeling, sis? Hold on. Here it comes. Here it comes. So, baby, sister, historian, author, actress, and all of it. Actually, I didn't even need to say all that because I'm about to show you in a second what all she does. SENYAH, hang on, and you're going to love this. I promise you will.
We going to talk after the show, Eddie.
Yes, we will.
SENYAH HAYNES. Oh my gosh, let me just say a little bit about this woman. She is one of the most talented people that I know, and I am so honored that I can call her one of my very close friends. In case you don't know this woman, not only is she an amazing actress, she is also a great writer, poet, visual artist, and she is working on this amazing collection of children's books called Jayla Johns. And as an educator, they just blow my mind. So, SENYAH, I just have to say, I am so excited that you are going to be your writing is going to be included in the anthology, A Black Perspective, The People. I can't wait to get my copy. And I love your cover art, The Voyage. It's heavy. And we need a book like this now. Thank you, SENYAH, for being SENYAH. And I am so, so proud of you. I'm glad that you're my friend.
Eddie, you stalking my Facebook page, finding my friends.
Baby, that's the only way I can get it. That's the funny part about all this is that the last time we did this, it's like I had to look at people that I knew mutually with each author. And, me and SENYAH, we've been rocking since almost 5 years. And for anybody who does not remember, maybe you might even forgot, we met on my 40th birthday, the night that we did the November Novels Writers Month event at the Oak Park Library. And there I was doing my presentation, and SENYAH asked a very insightful question out of the audience, and we've been like this since, and we've been rolling and Johnson and everything else. But SENYAH, any words you want to give to Sarah? She's actually listening.
Is she? Wow, and she's here too. I'm glad you found her. Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you for hunting her down and getting that. And Sarah's not so shabby herself, y'all. Just to know, she is the founder of Chi-Town Sugar Films. I've worked with her extensively as an actress. And I actually need to make a button. My director makes muffins because on all of her sets, she bakes muffins. They're delicious. But she does
craft services too.
Yeah, right.
Girl, yes.
But that's not her crowning achievement, though. One thing that I really appreciate about Sarah is she is about the business of honesty and racial healing and dealing, and all of her sets are diverse behind the camera as in addition to in front, which is very important. If you're in the industry, you know how it kind of blanches as soon as you get off screen. And she is my friend that I can have honest talks about brutal stuff across lines with, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for finding her, and thank you for the shout out, Sarah.
All right. We'll get back to Senya in a second, you all. We have a number of amazing things to talk about with Senya. And last thing that I want to say, first and foremost, thank you, Sarah, once again. And surprise for Senya, she don't know. But if you remember the ad I had just a second ago with actor Harold Dennis, he did this amazing trailer of all of his different works. Sarah has given me access to everything that Senya has done on camera, and baby, we gonna pull one of those out in our weekly "Where Are They Now?" Kind of thing to remind you all that they're not just doing this great literary work, or in Senya's case, doing this great artwork, visual artwork. We got to get that in the picture. Come on, move over here, table. Work with me. But yeah, so look forward to that, and definitely look forward to some things with Sarah. Sarah, you are so welcome. Thank you so much. And I had to admit, I was looking through those trailers. I was like, oh, that's her from The Shy. Oh, that's her from Southside. Sarah has worked with everybody. I'm not gonna let y'all bombard her, but I will just say, if you're an actor in the Chicagoland area, a director, anybody in that industry, this is my girl. This is my sister from another mister, and you might need to get at her. But before we belabor the time, because y'all know I would talk forever, I'm trying to keep this thing moving like in church when they say you got to MC, you got to keep the show flowing. So we're going to move on to the next one. Ladies first, as always. So we are moving now. Oh, I love this one. I love this one. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at these and I seriously said, I'm trying to make these folks cry. So y'all do a good job with these videos. And several of these, honestly, they almost brought me to tears. So, Auntie Renee, look up, baby, because you're the backstage and I see you behind the camera. I don't know if you're looking up yet, but you need to now. How you doing, Auntie?
I'm good. What you up to, Eddie?
You're gonna love this. I promise you will. And you are so beautiful. I hope this does not mess up your good Mac. But hold on, let me show you what I got for you.
Hi to my Aunt Renee. Congratulations. I just wanted to stop by and say I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that we have such a innovative person in our lives. You never cease to amaze me. You have your hand in so many different things. And whatever you put your mind to, you always end up delivering. So I cannot wait to enjoy what you have written for us. And I just want to encourage you to say, continue to keep going. And congratulations. I love you very much. Mwah.
Congratulations, Auntie Renee, on this being featured, your piece being featured. Super, super excited for you. More blessings, more love, more life. Congratulations.
Auntie. Any words, any thanks, anything you want to send to the family?
Uh, I am very appreciative. I'm glad that I can inspire and keep everybody motivated and let them know that regardless of your age, you can still do things that people say you cannot do. So that's a beautiful thing.
All right, thank you. See, she professional, y'all. She keep it short and sweet. But she busy making these books. She busy at To a Woman's Heart. She is changing lives. She is honestly saving lives and saving souls. We'll talk about that on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all the way through Saturday. But one thing that I love to always talk about with Auntie Renee is that so we were from the same home church. And I was in the choir. I was up under her in the choir, and she would direct and she would lead the songs. But when I tell you that anybody from High Mountain Missionary Church, 919 North Laverne, also known as Dr. Jesse D. Jordan Boulevard, where the pastor is the good right Reverend Pastor Early Johnson Sr. Renee will sing the church down every Sunday morning. And when I tell you, everybody came out of there with their spirits unburdened and lifted and that much closer to God. But then to see her take that same voice and put it to pen and to do that same work, it is just a testament, just like Tamika said, of the fact that anything Renee touches, oh, it's going to get done. And it's going to get done to the utmost of quality. So, Auntie, I just thank you again for this contribution. And I congratulate you again because that is no short thing. I tell people all the time, the Bible says, despise not the day of small beginnings. Now, this isn't even a small beginning, but the idea that you finished our book, which we dropped in February, and then I'm up all night looking at the stuff I'm looking at, and there you are doing your thing like she do so well on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. To a woman's heart. Y'all see it on her name. Find it. But when I looked up that night and she was promoting the book, and then she put From a Black Perspective down, and my house cried, tears came up. I almost cried tears. I said, hallelujah, she finished that book. I thought we were going to work on it this summer. She's done, y'all. She's done. But we going to talk about that some more. Go ahead, Auntie. I'm sorry.
You inspired me. And that book had been laying dormant for 10 years.
And I want people to know. Go ahead.
It had been laying dormant for 10 years. And I was contemplating on not releasing it, but then when you came to me and you was like, Auntie, and I was like to myself, I don't know. I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer.
Yes, you are.
So you inspired me to step outside of my comfort zone and do the unthinkable, and I accomplished it. And I do appreciate you for that, for pushing me.
And it's reciprocal. You know how we do in this group, especially. You thank me, I thank you. But it's the ebb and flow. You inspired me for years. Here's my opportunity to give back. And honestly, for anybody, of my age or younger or even older, sometimes that's when we know that we're adults in the sense that we're able to give back to those who poured into us all of our lives. And so for me, this is beyond an act of love. It's beyond so many things that I hoped for and prayed for. And as I mentioned to people, the purpose of this book was for everyone in it if they had a solo work to get it out and get it done. But like I said in several interviews recently, y'all can go back and look at them. Auntie just blew my mind. I was like, yeah, it's supposed to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen that quick. So definitely y'all look forward to, now she's going to be doing a private birthday party release. That means all y'all cats can't come through, but there will be plenty of pub about that. The book is already available on Amazon. It's under her writer's name, Dar Love, and I believe that is a tribute to Darius, correct?
Yes.
If y'all want to know more about Darius, y'all gonna buy that book. And even if you don't want to know more about Darius, y'all gonna buy that book. But we'll make sure that y'all know about that. Look forward to that over the summer. Auntie, I'm gonna get you out of here, and you just hang on and stay pretty. Okay. I love this, y'all. I love this. This is my favorite part of everything. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right. So next, let's see who we got up. And Monica, the brought a friend. Look at this. Hey, Muta. For anybody who doesn't know, we went to college together. I'm a Phi Beta Sigma. She's an Alpha Kappa Alpha, and our chapter names are the same. We just pronounce it a little different. Muta, or as I call them, Pretty Muta, and Muta for the Sigmas. But Miss Monica Brown, I love saying it that way because I've heard you in a couple of interviews, and that's how they introduced you. And baby, they hit that Monica Brown real good and real hard. This is for you, baby. Are you ready? Let me see. There it is.
Congratulations, Monica. I just want to say I am very proud of you on becoming a published author and having the strength and the courage to share your story. I love you and congratulations.
Congratulations to all the authors featured in From a Black Perspective. Eddie, thank you so much for, publishing the work of Black authors and putting this out for our community. A very special shout out and congratulations to my line sister, Monica. I'm so very proud of you. And I hope this work is a big success. Not just that, but that your story really touches people and helps them to change their lives. Love you, and I'm so very proud of you.
Monica, girl, I am so proud of you. You have been working on this project for a long time, and I'm so excited that you have been able to share your truth and that you are a published author. Did you hear that? You're a published author, Monica. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I wish you all the best, and I love you.
Monica, you did it. Welcome to the club of published authors. I want to say I'm so proud of your piece. I'm so proud of what you did and how you did it. You were so transparent and so honest in your writing. You just grabbed that reader immediately. Girl, keep that up. Keep that up right there. I love you and I'm proud of you. Congratulations, you're an author. Yay! 3 ski-wees to you. 3 ski-wees. Real rude.
Monica Brown, any comments, any love you want to give back to your line sisters? I got all 4 of them. I'm the bomb.
Y'all know I miss Sweet Emotions. I got me over here crying, messing up.
They said she was gonna cry.
I love y'all. Thank you so much for your support.
For anybody that does not know, like I said, I already explained the connection between us going to school and, it's just where we were. It was literally at my time, we were lucky to keep 300 Black people on a campus of about 7,000 people. And so it made for a very close knit African American community, even I would even say Black and Brown community, because we did rock real hard with our Latino cousins, that were there. And so, Crystal, of course, we went to high school together. We went to college together. And then several of us came in together as freshmen that were in that video. Actually, Janelle was the one that came in with us. And I believe, was that you and Latrice that came? And the last one. Oh, right, Kendra, yes. Yeah, y'all came in my sophomore year, right. Y'all all came in right behind. But we've been friends since then, y'all. This was 97. And so, of course, you see me pop up in that last picture because, I was always a fanboy for all of the sororities, to be honest. The Deltas, the AKAs, the Zetas, of course, and the Sigma Gamma Rhos. But we've been rocking like this for a long time, y'all. And I just really wanted this opportunity for everybody, including Monica, because we've been talking about that Memoirs of a Hidden Pain for a long time. And then I'm just recently learning all the other amazing things she does under Comina's Creations. I'm going to play that video with the prizes again so that y'all can see the things that she's contributed to the event. And then to find out that track, if y'all couldn't see it that good, she's actually the voice you hear in the music, Comina Savant. So Monica does it all. And we are working really hard on this. We're aiming to get Memoirs of a Hidden Pain out ideally this November, which is both of our birthday month. Go Scorpios. The rest of y'all will deal. But look forward to that. And of course, we would get there a lot quicker if you all are supporting Comina's Creations as far as the different amazing products that she has. I mean, she got a warehouse of stuff in her house already before she gets to crafting it specifically for you, which she can do within reason. That will help us to get that great work out. And we just so gratified to see how well it was received. Monica, love you, girl. We will see you in a second when we get to the Q&A panel, all right?
All right.
Last but certainly not least, my big brother in Christ, in blackness, in blue and white Sigma glory, Mr. Ken Compton, the author of what I've been calling Compton's most wanted piece of literature, Graffiti Park. Look at him, bashful, bashful. See, that's how he gonna get to that New York Times bestselling list because he gonna stay humble and he gonna write these great works. But Ken Compton, I got something for you, man. Hold on.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I know you're not. That's why I do this.
Hi, this is Laura, and I am here to offer my congratulations to Ken Compton, who I'm honored to call a friend, a frat brother, co-St. Louisan. I really enjoyed your story from the second volume of A Black Perspective. It really spoke to me. My parents are elderly, and it's hard. It's really hard. Anyway, great work. I look forward to reading more of your works, and I would love to read the rest of Graffiti Park. So, congratulations, Ken.
Hello, this is Jeremiah here, coming to congratulate my fraternal pops, Eddie, and along with the other authors who contributed to From a Black Perspective, The People is a great piece of work. What I've read so far, I realistically haven't read everything, but what I've read so far has been very good. I especially want to give a shout out and a word of congratulations to one of my biggest nemesis as well as closest friends, Mr. Ken Compton. You did beautiful piece of work here. Your story is very relatable. It tugged at my heartstrings as I shared with you as I navigate that balancing act of caring for an older loved one while also trying to get things done that I want to do personally. I don't always get it right, and I identify with your character and some of her missteps and opportunities to try to correct things. I look forward to many more great things from you. I can't wait to see you on that bestsellers list. Many congratulations, and the best is yet to come.
Sorry, I'm messing with too many buttons. Mr. Compton, any words that you want to give back to the family?
Just want to say thank you to Laura and to Jeremiah. My goodness, I wasn't expecting that.
That's what you did last time.
Yeah, just, thank you. Just thank you to both of them. Eddie, once again, thank you to you for not just for me, but speaking on behalf of all of us, giving us a space to express ourselves, be creative, tell our stories, and to just I'm looking forward to more, providing more content for people to enjoy. And this has certainly been inspirational to me. And I just want to thank everybody. So, yeah, thank you.
You are more than welcome, my brother. It's similar to what I said to Auntie Renee, that I look at someone who is in a sense an elder just because you're a few years older. And we only gonna say a few because we ain't gonna date me. You look good for your age, but it's just been the joy to watch you. And I have said it in our private groups with the frat and in other places, and I was saying here publicly once again. Ken Compton, if y'all like my writing, Ken Compton writes circles around me. When I look at his word choice, his phrasing, see, he being bashful, I'm telling the truth. His word choices, his phrasing, if anything, probably the hardest thing Ken deals with, which we all deal with, is trying to stop editing. And I always remind everybody that even the greats are reading their stuff in front of people. They've already made billions and they've already won awards, and they still look down at their work and they want to take a red pen to it. So that's encouragement to everybody. And the idea of, yes, wanting to revise and wanting to make sure that it's right is great. And that is what the author's supposed to do. I, as the publisher, am the one that's supposed to say, all right, Ken, this is where we cut it. We're going to make some changes. We will make it in the second edition. kind of thing. But another thing that I wanted to make sure everyone knows is that with Ken as well, we're aiming to try to get, we said this last time, so Ken, we got to do it this time. We said that we aiming to see more of Graffiti Park, ideally the first book in the series of the same name, ideally around his birthday in December, so y'all can bless him for his birthday and for Christmas by buying that book. And also, if there are any little tidbits we can drop, maybe if y'all love on him some more, we can get Ken to like write a few things that he can share with us over the summer. Because honestly, like I told him, I see him on that bestsellers list. I see it. I see it. If you've never followed Ken on Facebook, just go look at his page right now. I think he still got it up. But he had the New York Times news building right behind him in his profile. And for me, you talk about seeing that rainbow years ago. Yeah. I see that. And that for me is God saying, oh, it's done. And so we're going to do everything we can to not only get the work done, but build up that awesome anticipation. Because for anybody who does not know the business, when it comes to getting on that list, you have to sell an amazing amount of books in a week from, I think, Tuesday to Tuesday or something like that. I'll research it. So when we tell y'all this book is dropping, y'all better buy it, especially for all of y'all that's been like me, like Ken. And I told him, I'll put it out there. We've been talking about it, the frat brothers and the sorority sisters, and I threatened Ken. I said, if he does not have this book by his birthday, all of the blue and white will show up on his porch with red paint to throw it on his paraphernalia. So y'all heard it from me. Look, Ken, you know how we do. Right. You know how I do. Okay, this is the publisher calling you out. All right. So I'm going to let you drop out for a second and so we can keep everything moving. And this last one actually is for everyone involved. So last time we had the awesome opportunity of working with the world-renowned best-selling author, New York Times author, James Earl Hardy, author of the B-Boy Blues series of books, which turned into a stage play and recently turned into a film. And so he did a tribute for Brother Donnell Bonaparte, who's in the first book there, From a Black Perspective, The Blood. And he actually already endorsed his work and said that that's the New York Times bestselling and Amazon bestselling book as well, Walking to Jupiter. So we're going to be looking forward to that. But I asked him, hey, do me a favor. Send all of us some love. You know, I can't do it all by myself. And he said, sure, I'll do it. But what should I do? And I said, well, go back and look at what Brother James did for you and draw some inspiration. And when I tell you he drew some awesome inspiration, he did. So you all hold on and we will pull that up now.
My friends, congratulations on completing From a Black Perspective, Volume 2, The People. I look forward to reading this new volume of work. I know it's going to be a magical experience. I look forward to joining you for the third volume. In the meantime, Renee, SENYAH, Monica, Ken, Tamara, Eddie, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Thank you for using your superpowers and keeping our voices heard. And I look forward to using my superpowers as well for the next volume. Take care. Love you.
I want that shirt.
I know. That's pretty awesome.
Share. Anybody as far as thanks to Darnell or anything of that nature?
Thank you again for the encouragement, and yeah, I want that shirt. So
I got something for y'all in a second. So I hope y'all like it as much as y'all love this shirt. But like I said, I'll make sure y'all know where to get it. I'm not buying that one for y'all, but y'all can get it. I'll tell you where to get it. And while y'all talk about t-shirts, let's not forget now, Auntie Renee and To a Woman's Heart. We got several of those, and I'm gonna show those again for the prizes. But she has some amazing t-shirts out there as well. In addition to copies of To a Woman's Heart, and several of those will be prizes. But SENYAH, Monica, Renee, anything that you want to say before we close out the tribute section and hit another commercial?
Just thanks for the love. And you sat this one out, but I'm glad you're coming back.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you to
All
everyone.
right. Go ahead, Monica. I'm sorry. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to head out for one more commercial break. I actually think this is the last one. I must have played too many early. But we're going to do a commercial break and then we'll come back for our Q&A panel. This is a free for all as far as questions are concerned. Our host will, kind of lead us into all of that as far as which questions. So next face you see after this ad will be me introducing everyone, all of our presenters, all of our authors, and that would be an opportunity for you all to get some more questions in, and of course stack up those questions because I'm taking account. I got a list right here of who getting these prizes. All right, so we will be right back after this next ad, and this is a good one. I love this one.
Tune in to A Conversation with Mose.
Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams coming true. And it wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't start out with a poem from one of my books. And this is from my book, The Joy Experience, where you can find where books are sold. And this poem is called Morning Coffee. Morning thoughts, morning prayers, morning kisses, morning sex, morning rain, morning sun, morning joy. Nothing like my morning coffee. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you guys do have something that bring you joy. I want to talk about how to support a creative person in your life. That musician, that songwriter, that poet, that painter, artist, that creative person. And I want to first start by saying that most creatives like to work for themselves. Their goal is to work and do what they love and love what they do. Speaking for myself, I've always just wanted to do what I love and get paid to do it. But I just want to have different suggestions, like even on social media. Click the love button. The like button is cool, but the love button is cooler. And share that with your friends and make a comment about it. Write a review on Amazon. Or Barnes and Noble, or wherever your favorite, bookstore is. You could call a bookstore and request a book, just to build up momentum. And my thing is, there's different ways to support a creative person without necessarily spending money.
Tune into A Conversation with Mose wherever you listen to podcasts, and let's get back to the show.
All right, everybody. So we are back. As I said, we're going to get into our Q&A, and I'm loving the fact that I took a little extra time here and there, and we are still on schedule. So we ain't going to keep y'all all night. Plus, I think I'm going to have a celebratory moment and go to the juke joint after this. So let's pull in our awesome co-host once again. We have Ms. Robin Easley with Pineapple Grenade by Robin, and Mr. J.D. Williams with the Sunday Tech Takeout. Get plugged in. Y'all ready to get into this real good conversation?
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. And I hope the audience is ready because y'all have some great questions that we can repeat if necessary. So let's pull in our authors. And what we're going to do, because I've said it on some occasions, this gets a little jumbled. As each person is addressing the audience, I will make them the largest person in the screen. And so to start off, I'm going to get Robin. Let me see if I get this right. Make it big. Oh, that's making me big. Okay. Oh, I see now. Okay, so we can't do it that way. All right, so we will come back to that's the one I want. All right, so Monica is I mean I'm sorry, not Monica, Robin, it's up to you till we get some questions from this audience who's just stunned into silence, I guess. So launch out with who you got their first question for.
Okay, I'm not seeing any questions right now. Would you like me to go ahead and develop one and get us
Yeah, go
started?
ahead. No, go ahead with any questions you have yourself.
Okay, perfect. So what is the irony behind Jabali's avatar, Kondo, and Uri's avatar being Azizi?
It's funny that it's once again, I just that's why I think this piece worked out so well because I didn't think about anything business wise. Honestly, I didn't think about any messaging, trying to tell nobody what to do, how to live, no history lesson, none of that. And it purely was just that he was the central character. And when I got to that place of, oh, your way is going to make an appearance and she needs a body, oh, how ironic would it be that this goddess decides to step into the body of a young boy, especially when it's established in the reading that the mothers, the women, are her fleshly manifestation. Those are the bodies she usually inherit, takes over or takes on. And so it was also the irony. Now, the irony that was planned was that I wanted the father to see, and I'm not going to get into it because I want to read the book, but I wanted the father to see that his son, who he thought was the worst warrior, actually turned out to be the best one out of everybody, even toppling his own record.
He really humbled him, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he did. He humbled them all. And to be honest, by extension, he did because it was your way in his body. So, yeah, great question.
I thought that was an amazing piece. Thank you for setting the tone for this. Just the theme in comparison to the blood, I feel like it's more triumphant for us. I feel like in the blood, there was more traumatic experience where people didn't necessarily get over the hump of healing. But I feel like in this piece, we have a celebration of who we are. And Ure's warning was just this celebratory piece that brought about mankind and humanity and, our dynamics of family. I just enjoyed it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to bring up JD to see if he got any questions while we're waiting to see if the audience got anything else. JD, who you got a question for?
So most of my questions was geared towards Dr. Tamara because of the fact that we relate on a lot. But this question is for Ken. I know that some of your inspiration was R.L. Stein and Christopher Pike, which was, oh my God, I used to go to book fairs just to pull those books out and just read them
Sir.
all the time. And you've been writing since 2007. What gave you your inspiration to start writing?
God has a plan for everybody. And even though I'm grateful for every opportunity that he's given me, early on in my career, I faced a number of layoffs and things like that. And I'm like, okay, and God, I know this is not your best for me.
Right.
So you speak to me, tell me, I'll listen. And, I've always been good at telling stories. And for many years, writing was something that I thought that I would take up after retiring. But maybe that's not the case. If I truly do have a calling, I believe it is to write. So knowing that God has a call in my life and knowing that, I believe that my storytelling is what I am truly meant to do.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to Graffiti Park because I'm a really big fan of crime drama series like Law and Order, stuff like that. So those and James Patterson, like all those kind of books. So I am looking forward to the Graffiti Park that's to come.
Thank you.
So that brings us back to Robin.
Yes.
And who do you have a question for?
I have a question for Renee.
All right, just a second.
Hey, Miss Renee.
Hey.
So I just want to congratulate you on being published twice for your work, My House Cried Tears. Can you please tell us how you did it?
Oh God, wasn't me. Because I rejected a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But my purpose is to tell my story and to be as transparent as possible because you never know how we may help somebody else. We go through a lot of things and we suffer in silence. And in our suffer in silence, we think we're the only one who go through the things that we go through. And so in the book and doing it twice, it's just a reveal of all the things I've experienced and to let somebody know if I can do it, you can too. I've overcome a whole lot of things. And age is not a factor. I'm 62 and I'm still learning to do things. So you're not bound by your age. You're not.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
your tragedies are treasures, whether we want to realize it or not. They help us to grow, they help us to learn, they help us to empower and improve ourselves. So it was all God, it wasn't me, because I rejected it a lot. I did. I put up a good old fight, but he wouldn't let me rest. So, after he won't let you rest, you got to get up and do what you got to do.
Well, thank you for being available for the call when you finally were being obedient, Miss Renee.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. We'll talk to you later.
All righty.
All righty. So we got a question for everyone here. How was the process and what does it mean to be a part of this process?
Guess it looks like I go first.
You can help answer this question. Yes, Monica.
Okay, so for me, the process was a little bit terrifying. I've been working on this project now for at least 10 years. So it's really exhilarating to finally get it out there, get it under my belt, and now I'm ready to start working the rest of it.
You're ready to start doing what? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that last part.
Working on the rest of the book so that I can get it released also.
Yes, so as you are contributing author to the anthology From a Black Perspective, what has been the process for you to insert this piece with others?
I'm sorry, what was the last part?
What has been your experience when you started to contribute your piece, particularly to this anthology? Can you take us through the process of what made you want to, insert your piece here?
Well, after
into the people?
After I purchased my first copy, author Crystal Renee is one of my sorority sisters, my ship, and she's just spoke so highly of all of this. She's always writing. So when Eddie approached me for this one, I finally was like, okay, you tried to get after me last time, and this time you moved it right, so let's go ahead and do this. It's very healing, very.
Now, as you continue writing, Monica, are you looking forward to contributing more to anthologies like this?
I would love to. I think this was really amazing, and I just feel honored to be in this book with so many great authors. Like, I don't feel like I belong, so thank you to all of you.
Oh, you definitely belong, and I just think that each of you contributes so much that you don't have any idea, and your story in particular, it could touch any girl at heart, and guy too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have another question. You have your novel's book cover coming out. Can you talk to us a little bit more about Mask? And are they going to be different from the other? I know that we talked about this a little bit earlier, but maybe you didn't expand on it.
So throughout the book, my goal is to have a different mask or a different type of mask for each chapter or each shift in like phase of my life. I'm currently going through, I'm debating creating my own because I am an artist, but there's definitely going to be a different mask for every section.
Well, looking forward to that being created and for the product to come out. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Eddie, it looks like we got a lot more going on in the chat. Somebody actually expressed that it's always inspiring to hear the stories of others. Since you're up, can you talk to us about what inspires you to be this mogul in your community?
Lover of words that I am. That was an interesting phrase. So, for the question that I think it's the same question you saw, about what's the inspiration outside of you or in dreams. I think it's left my screen now, but I and Robin,
mine too.
We've had this conversation. I feel like a quilter of sorts or a collage artist of stories. So
Yes.
I just, I go out in the world and I live a life, and I'm an insatiably curious person. I always have been, and so
Me too, girl.
I just observe things, and fact is stranger than fiction all the time, and so it's like some of the things I see, it's like, oh, I gotta write about that. I say that to my close friends, they have heard me say that on several occasions. We're just out and about, and we see something just wild. It's like, oh, I gotta write about that. So for me, my process is not so much in my dreams, because I really rarely wake up and remember my dreams, but it's in the stuff that I've seen in life. And I will, just take snips and, snippets and put them together and make an entirely different thing. Most of my work involves elements that are real somewhere, that I've seen or that I've lived or that I've heard about, read about, watched about, because the world is just this infinitely fascinating place. And so that's my process, kind of collecting scraps, putting them in my pocket, oftentimes for much, much later, and then one day pulling something out and being like, oh yeah, that thing, that will go great there.
Now, those images that you have embossed in your brain on a regular basis, and then you start to clip those into collage, SENYAH, do you actually deal with the youth and adults to inspire them for how they actually process their thoughts and to make them in the world?
That's a good question. So when I am
or in their craft.
When you say deal with the youth and adults, you're talking about through my writing work, not through workshop facilitation, correct?
Well, both. Okay. Maybe both.
Well, we'll say through writing. When I write for adults, it's not illustrated, right? I'm painting pictures with their minds through my words, which means that my words have to be vivid enough for them to come up with something in their own imaginations that I ultimately directed. So, and anyone who knows me, I purple prosed out. So I gotta reel myself in with the imagery that I will evoke in my words when I'm writing for adults. When I'm writing for children, I do have illustrations. So I'm very, I am meticulous about thinking of the words to get my message across, because when I write for children, it's also educational. I really am, I'm deliberate about thinking of words that I can see in my head to get into an actual image. So I don't necessarily, I do want their imaginations running wild, but after I have kind of given them this literal live in color image to illustrate what I've written and the lesson that I've told. So I guess I do go to kind of two different places when I'm writing for different audiences.
That's interesting to learn, and especially when it has to do with children, because they don't understand what key drivers are. Like adults would, and some people who are adults don't even know that type of vocabulary, but you have the power to influence every day. So I appreciate you working in so many different facets of, fine art and literary art and just visual art. I mean, it's amazing. So I did have a question about the book covers for.
All right, we're gonna give JD a second to get back in. He's actually working on so many different things, and I apologize for having to cut Robin. We got to get JD out of here. JD, so we got a question here from the audience for Auntie Renee.
Okay. All right, Miss Auntie Renee, we have, how did you understand your father's pathology as you got older? Like over the years, did you gain an understanding of your father's pathology?
I did. And I had to sit back and, and think about, revisit some things to understand his actions because he used to say all the time, I didn't come up the same way. And when I was coming up, because my mother was not alive when, he was a kid, she didn't train him. His family members shipped him from household to household. He used to hide out in the field barefooted and raggedy with clothes. And so those things start to replay over and over again. And one day I was just lying down, and Lord was like showing me different things about my father's conversation he used to have with me. Then I started to the pieces of the puzzles together, all of his experiences that he went through, as tragic as they was, the missing piece was the love piece.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to show the emotions. He thought love was all about the financial aspect. It never had emotion because nobody in his past never showed him emotions. So he just kept recycling what he knew. He didn't know any different.
I can kind of relate to that because like in my family, we weren't expressive, especially when it came to love. It was mostly always about material things. And and I just recently started therapy, so trying to voice our feelings and stuff has was one of those things that were very hard. So we were sheltered. We sheltered a lot of feelings on the inside. We were angry, emotional, depressed. So I
Mhm.
do appreciate your transparency with this book because a lot of times we get fearful of speaking out because we think that somebody is going to say maybe talk about us or whatever the case may be. But I do appreciate you answering that question.
Thank you.
Okay. And Ken, so this question is for you. How was the process of writing, and what does it mean to be a part of this process?
Uh, for me, the process of writing, you used to start with an idea, talk about small beginnings. Uh, I forget which famous author said it, but it starts with a small intrigue of the mind, and it's your responsibility to grow it. And that's what I try to do. Sometimes I have a vague thought, try to get try to get it down, grow it, add your characters, add your conflict, add your feelings, whatever it is you're trying to convey to the reader and even to yourself sometimes. But being a part of this process for this particular anthology, the two pieces that I've chosen, they both deal with closure in a way. Just as you've heard in some of these pieces, people dealing with things from their past, and they just both fit together for what it is I was trying to convey as far as, having things close out in our lives and moving on, learning and growing. But my whole writing process I'm still developing it, to be honest with you. I'm still learning. I've written some good pieces and put some words down on paper, but it's an ongoing thing. The whole process is still evolving within me. So it's kind of hard to answer that question because I'm still learning the process as I go through all of this. So
Yeah, it's always a learning process, especially when you're in the creative field, because sometimes your mind may be in this place and then it
exactly.
goes somewhere else, and then you may get an idea from somewhere else. So it is all about learning the process. But thank you for answering that question.
Thank you.
And Eddie, this question is for you. How was the process, and what does it mean to be a part of this process?
Well, wow, loaded question for me, the publisher, right? For one thing, and I said this when we did the event last time, that for some time I've taken off the writer's hat and just focused on the publishing, getting other voices out as many as possible. For anybody who does not know, I already have 3 books out. It's no boast, but just saying that priority wise for me as the publisher, as a writer, it was about, getting more people out. So I said, hey, how can we do that as quick as possible? And for me, this is a dream come true. I've said it in the publisher's note on some occasions that I've always wanted to be a part of the Harlem Renaissance. For anyone who's not familiar with it, Google. It's wonderful. But the main thing to know is that it was a collection, a collective of primarily Black creatives, poets, writers, musicians that came together and made a movement with their art. They use their art much in the way that Dr. Hill talks about in her piece, The Souls of Protest and Resistance, that they were doing everything they could through their art to inspire the people, to give them that energy to push back against oppression. And in a lot of respects, honestly, teaching them how to push back in a way that would be both beneficial to them and safe as possible for them. Because, we still had, the hoses, the dogs, and all that was still happening, regardless of the precautions that we took. But, for me, that movement is something that is as almost eternal as you and I. We both from the church, so we know this. We talk about how God's word will never fail, it will never disappear, that it's going to last forever and ever and ever. That impression that they made, I believe, will make that impression not only in the Black community forever, but also for anyone that is looking at what they did. And so I wanted to I guess, mimic that in as much as possible with literature until we get to some other things, especially talking with you, brother, because we can talk about a couple things that we want to do. Hint, Black Music Month, June
Yeah.
2024. Let's get JD on the stage with a band. Y'all have no idea. This brother is good. Y'all saw him in that ad for Aswaf Hasworth and Love Sessions Orchestra. They play every night at the Freeman here in Dallas in the Deep Ellum neighborhood. And JD gets down on that mic. Y'all don't understand. Y'all just saw him shake the tambourine and a voiceover going over him. Y'all gotta hear the man sing. So that's something that JD and I talked about. And but yeah, so that's ultimately what it was for me. It was very encouraging, very fulfilling. And that probably one of the biggest things is that when I started all of this, I wanted to publish other people. And I looked at, well, how do you do it with no money, without all these different resources I thought I needed to have? And with these 2 books and what we're going to do in the third, I was actually able to act as the traditional publisher in that everything was paid for, orchestrated by the company. And the exception being, and actually we did kind of work that out with a couple people, but the exception being that the authors, because they have their individual print mechanism and they have their individual streams of income, they do get their own books if they choose to sell them. And then outside of that, there is the passive mechanism of the fact that it's on Amazon. But hear me and hear me well, people. Yes, it's on Amazon, but in every case, just like with this shirt, find the creator, find the owner. When JD get to selling his music, find JD. Ask us how you want to purchase, or we want you to purchase, how you can support us the most. And in my case, that means go to Rainbow Room Publishing. Don't go to Amazon. And I purposely make the prices higher on Amazon, and you don't get an autograph. So you may as well come to me and get it done. But that goes for all of the authors that reach out to them, make sure and find out if they have a copy, a mechanism, especially when it comes to that Amazon link, because it's duplicated for all six of us. Well, we're still working on maybe two, but it's duplicated for all six of us. And so I would want to make sure that if you're going to buy from Ken and he says go to Amazon, don't use my Amazon link. Go to his Amazon link. The idea is that I'm allowing, and not allowing, but trying to facilitate for them a stream of income so that they choose to publish something else, which they all have done. Boop, 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 boop. And so this is how they could potentially raise those funds. So yeah, for me, it's honestly, it's a dream come true. It's literally a dream come true.
Well, thank you for that. I remember the very first time, and I'm gonna end mine, but I remember I still have the very first book that you gave me. And I interviewed you. This was before the Sunday Takeout became anything. And so I really appreciate God for connecting us, because I've learned a lot, especially in the literary world, because I'm an avid reader, but there's so much more to know besides reading a book. So I really appreciate you giving me a different outlook on actual reading and understanding, because a lot of people read and then don't comprehend. But your book gave a lot of insight on our lifestyle and a lot of other things. So I do appreciate you for being that, and also my friend. So yeah.
Love you, brother. And I'm going to make sure everybody understands that, like I said before, this brother, y'all don't understand, he'll be on the stage singing, but he'll have a camera set up on the side that he has to go check every so often so that he can get the footage for the bands. And then on top of that, if y'all think I'm bad, well, not bad, but bad in the good way, Michael Jackson bad, with flooding y'all timelines and making sure y'all know what's going on. The plug. Sunday Takeout with brother J.D. Williams, and his given name, if you're trying to find him on Facebook, Jarrod, Jarrod Williams. Find this brother, get on that with them promotions. He helps me so much, especially when I'm doing something and I'm doing it in Dallas, and I need everybody in Dallas to know the surrounding environment. Honestly, the whole Southwest, from some of the stuff I see him post. But we're going to allow him to get up out of here so he can go do all those amazing things he does. And before we get up out of here, I want to bring up all of the authors really quick. Just so that they can, express their thanks to JD and wish him well. And so give me a second. I'm getting everybody up as far as the authors, and then we're going to swing back to Robin to help us to wrap up the Q&A. Any words that you want to leave? Actually, I'll call you all out to make it easy. Auntie, any words you want to leave for JD?
Thank you, JD. You've been very inspiring today.
Thank you.
SENYAH, anything?
Thank you so much, JD. I've appreciated the time we spent in this interview, and I appreciate you supporting me in the past with the interview. And I really, I just appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken.
JD, thank you so much. I believe you gave me a date and time that you will be in St. Louis performing, and I may just pop up, so we may actually get to meet face to face. So thank you so much for being a part of this, and it has been great. So I appreciate it. I really do.
Yes, I'll be in St. Louis on the 28th of this month, and we perform on the 29th. So yeah, hope to see you.
You in Asheville?
No,
who is we?
I'm actually singing with somebody else this time.
Okay, make sure I know so that we can pub it for you.
I'll send you the info.
Because all of our college friends are in that area, so I'm gonna send all the people your way.
Oh yeah. I'll send you the link.
And just to the audience, this is networking, baby. These are relationships. These are real relationships, and this is how we support each other. This is how we get here. Monica, anything for JD before we let him go?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and don't be surprised if I send you a friend request.
Hey, no problem at all.
And baby, look, you want anything Monica makes? Trust me, anything Monica makes. I was picking out the prizes for the people, and I was like, but I want that, and I want that, and I want. So me and Monica will be talking, and we'll talk about that later. But so I'm gonna bring all of the authors down. And JD, brother, go ahead and do what you do. I don't know if you're gonna be at the Freeman Body Chance tonight, but I'm going to check out Tricky Weather and our brother JD smacking on that bass. So we
Yeah,
will see you
I'm
soon.
coming after I sing in Lava Cantina. I'm coming after that.
Perfect. All right, brother. You be safe out there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Love, peace, blessings, and love infinitely. All right, folks. So let's get back with our other awesome co-host, Miss Robin. So, Robin, if you'll give me just a second here, because I got a little thrown off with the change that I had to make there. I'm going to pull up the next question I had here. And actually, let me explain this one because I just noticed a comment I missed. This question was actually meant to be for Monica, according to what I'm seeing in the background. So let's get Monica in and let her take this question really quick.
So, Monica, Miss Renee mentioned how she understood her father's pathology as she got older. Over the year, you gained an understanding of your father's pathology. I'm not sure that this is relevant to your story.
Okay, so is Jeremiah asking if I've grown to understand my father's pathology?
I mean, I think that we can use that question as relevant to your story, but I believe it was meant for Miss Renee. I'm sorry.
No, actually, the
No,
question
it's
was
okay.
written. It has Renee's name in it, but I'm looking at comments behind the scenes where they said that the question was actually meant for Renee, for Monica, but they accidentally typed in the question for with Renee's name. So we're looking for
Oh, okay.
Monica to give her feedback.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
So over the years, I've come to find out that my father, he was a very mentally unwell man. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Back then, he was being depressive. Um, I firmly believe that he was still even misdiagnosed with that because he was in the military. There were some things that happened or whatnot. But overall, he was just a very unwell man. And so it gives a little bit of forgiveness room,
Mm-hmm.
but it does not excuse everything.
So at this time, do you feel like you're in a place of being able to have forgiven him because of his pitfalls?
I do, but I didn't forgive him or for anybody else. I forgave him for what I did.
Yeah.
So that I could move forward.
And that's what it takes. We can't live our lives in misery. So we have to take what we have and be able to learn and grow from it. I'm proud of you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we got one more for me.
Do you
Have
see
you
a
seen?
theme uniting the stories in the book, Eddie?
Honestly, in both books, in the whole series, the main focus was that, I always laugh and say that this is kind of like an appetizer sampler. It's a sampler of all these different perspectives and experiences of Blackness. And so that, first and foremost, was the unifying theme with the entire series, even what's going to happen with the third book coming in 2024. But as far as this one in particular, one thing that kept coming back to me was looking at Voyage. Once again, great job, SENYAH. And I thought about that slave ship, and I thought about the ups and downs of life. And even when I made my attempt to do a haiku at the front of the book, I talked about the idea of the queens rocking and the kings rolling, the idea of the ups and downs, the ups and downs. And as I looked at all of the pieces and looked at them together, even before putting them in a certain order, honestly, what I started to do when I looked at all of the stories, it turned almost into chronological order, not just necessarily age, but looking at what was depicted in each story. So you go from mine over to Renee's, and she's bringing us, like I said, living history. She's talking to us about the assassination, the murder, excellent words. She's a writer of Dr. Martin Luther King. And then you move into Senior, then you move into Monica and Ken, who are all kind of in a similar time frame. And then, of course, as we talk about in our one-on-one, and you talk with Dr. Hill, the idea was that okay, we looked at a lot of tragedy. We looked at some bright spots. Like I love what Renee did, especially you read a title that says "My House Cried Tears," and you expect to go home and want to maybe slit your wrist. But she gave us so many nuggets of just that child innocence and that joy. Even as she said it, even as she knew she was going to get that whooping of a lifetime, she got to laugh of a lifetime, and then she turned around and shared it with us. But I wanted to end, like you said, on a celebratory note, on an affirming note, on a note that reminds us that for all of this that we've lived through, all that we've written, all that the authors have lived through and written, there are still moments of joy, there are still triumphs to be celebrated, and there are more triumphs to come down the line.
Thank you for your answer on that, Eddie.
All right. And let me get up out of there. And we got another great question, honestly, here for everybody. So we're going to go back to Renee with this one. And if I could get my mouse to work.
It always amazes this commenter when they hear how creatives are inspired. Do you all find your best inspirations in what happens outside of yourself, i.e. experiences or internally dreams? This is something that was touched on by SENYAH as well. Feel free to answer how you would.
I do. I think life is a lesson lived and learned. Every day you go through some things, lessons are taught. When my son was deceased, that was a lesson. When my father was murdered, it was a lesson. When my mother died of pancreatic cancer, that was a lesson. To being drugged was a lesson for me. It makes you, it molds you, it builds you, and it teaches you. So yeah, your experiences do shape who you are and help you to be creative or inspire you in your creativity.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Same question for SENYAH.
Oh, I took that one already, Eddie. But
So SENYAH, you answered this one already? I'm sorry. Oh, you did. I'm sorry. It's just that much going on back here. Y'all have no idea. Let's move to Ken for this one then.
Well, as an author, I would say yes. It is based on experiences. I pull from wherever I can to put stories together. With these two pieces, I use something that my grandmother said years ago. That was an experience. I pulled that in to tell a story. Graffiti Park, I always say it has two parents. One was from a Neil Gaiman chapter of a book called The Graveyard Book. The Witch's Headstone was a chapter in a book that he has called The Graveyard Book. And it was about a witch. So that's one story that I used for Graffiti Park. Another one comes from a TV show called, I can't think of the name of it right now, but in this story, there is a man in a park that gets robbed, and then they take all of his clothes, and then he runs into a bag lady in the park. She gives him a superhero outfit, and then he goes, finds and beats up the people who robbed him. So that was something that I was able to use, not necessarily an experience of mine, but just something that I was able to pull in to tell my own story of kind of fantasy, so to speak. But yeah, my experiences, whatever I can get and pull in to tell a story, that is what I'll do. So.
Well, I appreciate both your stories, as I've talked to you about before, and we can't wait to see more stories around similar themes like Geraldine and Graffiti Park. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and let Renee answer that one as well. I'm sorry, let her answer this one. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Why did I celebrate the completion of the book? I said, "Thank you, Jesus. I can breathe." And I went to Oberweis and got me a shirt.
Yes.
I hear you, Utsy, because look, I love to do stuff like this, and if I can go out and have dinner, if I can go out and have music and even a bevy, a dope bevy, I'll be honest. But sometimes it is just, hey, I'm gonna go get this last slice of leftover pizza and warm it up and drink this Coke and say thank you, Jesus. So I got that from you, I guess. All right, thank you. Let's move to one final question that we're gonna let a couple people take, and then we're gonna get a last question, last commercial, and we're gonna wrap things up. Let's see. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and let Monica answer this one, and that'll wrap us up.
How did I celebrate?
Yes,
Karaoke.
Monica.
Always karaoke.
That's one of your favorite things?
That's the only thing that I do that involves me leaving my house because I don't people well.
Well, we'll have to consider that for our meetup. I love karaoke.
Yes, let's do it.
What song did you sing?
Either Killing Me Softly or Zombie or Tennessee Whiskey. No, I'm lying to you. Change is gonna come. Those are the ones I sing all the time.
Those are all classics, Monica. Thank you.
Girl, I told her I'm taking notes from her. The karaoke, anybody that's been paying attention to the karaoke I've done recently, that was literally my first 3 times ever at karaoke. I've always been too scared. Auntie Renee could tell y'all I was scared to sing at church. They got me to do I think each church I've been at, they got me to do one solo. And baby, when I tell you I get so triggered thinking about that. But it's just different on that karaoke stage. Thank you, Monica. So we're going to actually go out to our last ad, and this will be the reminder for the prizes. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and call you all out now. And those of you that are still present, pay attention to the ad so that you can make your selections of what prize you want. Because trust me, I'm ready to get to that post office, give y'all another little hop along original. That's something there. Probably won't be dribbling the book between my legs this time. But we're going to ride out with this ad, and we will be right back to wrap things up.
From a Black perspective, the people. Available now. Join us Sunday, April the 23rd from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the virtual reading, where we will be giving away a number of amazing gifts. Courtesy of To a Woman's Heart. You are one-of-a-kind limited edition t-shirt and copies of My House Cry Tears. Sometimes you have to sit in silence t-shirt. God's Favor t-shirt. Always Believe in Yourself t-shirt. My Mission, My Plan t-shirt and copies of My House Bride Tears. Cominus Creations, the custom Rainbow Room Publishing for the Writer in You pen and customizable stylus. Comes with refills, and is easily interchangeable. The Comenius Creations Clear Handbag. Seen here, the customizable tumblers, now and later tumbler. The Comenius Creations tumbler. And the limited edition glow-in-the-dark domino set. All handcrafted, customized to your specifications, thanks to Comenius Creations. Win copies of Becoming a Fearless Author, courtesy of Dreamwriter Inc. Win a copy of From a Black Perspective, The Blood, featuring Graffiti Park by author Ken Compton. Or win the complete volume of A for the Jayless Johnson series, including Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, and Arkansas. Thank you, Palindrome Global Publishing and Events. Or the Rainbow Room Publishing Guide. Thank you, Tony Lavelle and B-Clan Productions.
All right, y'all. Sorry about that. That was actually a last minute schedule change anyway, even having to add that. And while I'm at it, man, I done took off my help. So y'all give me a second. But as you all see, let me make sure that I got my sound on. Anybody can hear me? Any questions? I know I took it down. Am I good on the sound? Thank you. All right, so we are at the grand finale here, and as you see in the comments there, I have announced everybody that won something. If you're still here, like I said, you need to be here. I may be gracious and still give you something if you respond by midnight. But it's gonna be first come, first serve. You've seen all of the prizes. Please select which ones you want. Drop it in the comments. I will not share that. It will be for my purposes only. And I'll leave that up for a while just in case to make sure that everyone can see that. Actually, you know what? I got to bring it down for a second because I want to make sure that everyone can see the awesome artwork of SENYAH HAYNES turned into something I could wear. And maybe if y'all haven't seen the pictures and the videos, I've been rocking this bad boy. It's too hard to turn around right now, but I'll make sure that y'all see what it looks like on the back later. But the main thing to know is that the back is the similar metallic font, and it says from the collection, or Voyage from the collection, Witness by SENYAH HAYNES. And even if it didn't have that, I didn't even notice this saying it, so kudos to you. The signature, I love it. This is definitely collectible. Your signature is right down here. Yeah, I see it. So for anyone who had questions about that shirt, keep in mind that that is available with Ease Quality Designs LLC. I'll drop a thing in the banner scrolling across, or a comment if you haven't seen it, because it's actually up in the captions and there's the link for it. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second because it is very relevant to what we're going to do now. We're going to actually allow all of the remaining presenters that are present to give us a last couple of words, 1 to 2 minutes max. Thank you, Earl Johnson. 2 minutes is the minute after 1 and before 3. And if you go longer than that, I'll pop up on the screen or I'll be there actually with you side by side.
But first and foremost, because like I said, we got to respect people's time. You all have done amazing as an audience. I definitely want to put that out there now before I forget. We have more than tripled who watched, who showed up when we did the last time, and it's only going onwards and upwards from there. But first and foremost, ladies first, let me bring up our brilliant co-host. And baby, let I tell you that we have been working and we have been praying and we've been working against these clouds. We made it work. But Robin, anything you want to leave the people with?
I'm just really excited for each author. I'm thankful to Rainbow Room Publishing, LLC, and also Eddie Pierce, the owner, founder, and just constant producer in this organization, for giving me the opportunity to co-host alongside JD, whom I've worked with before. Eddie and I, we actually met in 2021, and since then, I've never kept him out of thought and mind. In this process, it's been a brilliant idea to bring in people who really have a voice for people and really want to help people, because that's what Eddie does for authors and business owners around. And that's what I aspire to keep doing as a mission. Each one of the contributing authors has an amazing niche when it comes to writing and being a technical writer, but also being imaginative. I definitely have been engrossed in both pieces, the blood and the people, and I'm looking forward to the final piece to be complete, along with other anthologies to be created, produced, and loved on and loved through. Thank you, Eddie, and thank you, SENYAH, Monica, Miss Renee, along with Ken and Dr. Hill. Thank you, guys.
Are very welcome. And actually, before you get up out of here, I do want the people to know that with all of these relationships, in a sense, you're reading the book and the book closes. The story does not end as far as our love for each other, our networking together. And Robin has already graciously and then enthusiastically requested the opportunity to interview one-on-one with all of the authors in both books. So we're going to try to get that worked out. If I remember correctly, the only person we didn't manage to get so far from this book was Monica. So look forward to hearing from Monica, ideally first with Robin, and then we're going to circle back to the first book and work our way all through. And so you can look forward to more opportunities to hear from each author individually, to talk to them individually, to ask questions, to support them primarily throughout the summer up until about November, when we will announce where we are with the third book. So Robin, thank you. And before you get up out of here, I thought I had it with me. I'm moving too much. Bear with me for one more second. There it is. I knew I was prepared. I just didn't have it close enough at hand. So I have a small token of appreciation for everyone, in addition to what we're planning to do work-wise, that will continue to build all of our networks and our individual efforts and endeavors. And so all of the presenters, including the hosts, will get one of these.
Oh, thank you, Eddie. Thank you.
And make sure it's the right one. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a prototype. Ignore the misspelling, that was my fault. But it should say Voyage. But each contributor will get one, including JD, who has to get up out of here. So look forward to that. And if you can hang out with us for a little bit backstage, Robin, so that we can have our private celebratory moment, because we can all did some work and we deserve to cheer each other on. And I will see you soon, all right?
All righty.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
All right, so let's get to let me see what I wanted to hit next. Let's go with SENYAH. SENYAH, any words that you want to leave the people with?
Certainly, I will. While I tend to write more, I will say less. So I am really thankful for the opportunity. I appreciated working with the collaboration. It's very gratifying to be a part of furthering of Black thought. And it has been a wonderful journey. I enjoyed the scenery. It's a beautiful ride. Thank you.
All right, thank you, SENYAH. And before I let SENYAH go, gotta let everybody know that there is no favoritism here, right? I'm not nobody's parent, but you know, even when parents say that, it's kind of like, well, I'm a little closer to some children and then others in different respects. Doesn't mean that you favor them necessarily over the others if you're a good parent, in my opinion. And so, because SENYAH is the consummate artist, because in a lot of respects, this would not have happened without SENYAH and without Witness, where everyone else is getting, now mind you, both shirts, both versions of the shirt, this one and this one are available.
They're very nice.
Thanks to my good frat brother, oh my God, Elvis Bryson with Ease Equality Designs LLC. Everyone else is going to get that one. SENYAH is getting this.
Ooh, I get the queen.
And they're available for everybody to buy. And all of the other ones that come out from now on. Thank you so much again, Brother Price, because he worked with me with all this back and forth with the typos. The typo will not be on any shirt that anybody buys. Okay, just know that. Because we definitely want people to know the art. I want them to be impacted with it when people walk down the street and be like, what is that? And as you walk right on and pimp on past them, they're going to see that back and be like, SENYAH HAYNES, let me go find her. Right? Oh, actually, this is awesome. Love that. I said I wasn't going to share any of these, but I'm going to just show that real quick. People want those books, baby. They want those books. So we got copies over here already. I'm going to handle the shipping. But SENYAH, baby, you know I love you. You know I love you, sis. If you can hang out with us in that backstage for a second, and we'll be right back with you, all right?
Say less.
Thank you. Let's get to Auntie. Auntie been at work, so I definitely have to let her get some rest. Auntie, what do you want to leave the people with?
It was a pleasure. I thank you. I appreciate all the other authors. I've learned some things. You know, I'm a newbie, so getting my feet wet a little bit, release some of the fear, and it was a great thing. It's nice to have someone to motivate and inspire you because, you know, when you spend your time inspiring everybody else, you kind of miss somebody else inspiring you. So this has been a great venture for me. I've enjoyed it, and I hope that those who are watching it and listening that know that there's no boundaries to things that you want to do and let nothing stop you, especially when God is in the plan.
Amen. Hey, look, I need the people to understand because I see it, they don't necessarily know. But this is what she does on YouTube and on TikTok and Instagram. Look, I only signed into that one where you saw me chatting and talking, but I watched a lot of them. Honestly, when I do this sort of thing while I'm working, I just have you or something like that up. And it's keeping me moving. It's reminding me what we're doing, that we're going in the right direction. And so, Auntie, man, if you had no other mission on this planet, in my opinion, it's to encourage others, whichever way you do it, whether it's your singing, your books, To a Woman's Heart, and everything else. And like Tamika said, you know, we just gonna encourage you like you've been encouraging us for the longest. You run on, and whether we can put some gas money in your tank to keep riding, we're gonna do that. As I mentioned that, I think I said it in the backstage, but yeah, I'm actually there are a couple of ideas. Me and your nieces, my sisters, we worked out that tribute, and I went to them first. It was no slight to your sisters, anybody else in the family. It's just that I honestly thought, like, I looked at the impact of me being your nephew, spiritual nephew, and what that would mean for you to see the youth. You know, looking at what you're doing. So that's why I went to them primarily. So it was no, you know, knock against my other aunties, Diane and Nanette. But yeah, we working on some other stuff. Don't go badgering them, asking no questions. We're working on some other stuff to get you set for that birthday release. It's gonna be fire. We love you.
I love you more, and I thank you. You're the best nephew in the world.
All right, boom, I did it. All right, Auntie, if you can hang out with us for 5 more minutes or so, we'll be right there at that backstage. Okay. Let's switch over to, I'm trying to do ladies first, so I think we got Monica. Pretty Mutai, all things Comina Creations. I tell you, if Monica sees something, she can make it. It's just a matter of if she want to deal with the trouble to make some of this stuff I'll be looking at. I'm like, Monica, you need to build this Starship Enterprise. Eddie, that's not what we're doing today. But Monica, anything you want to leave the people with?
I just want to say thank you to everybody that's purchased the book, everybody for being here tonight. I didn't know I could do it, so thank you, Eddie, for believing in me, along with obviously SS Total Chaos. Set it off. Really, that's how I always end things. Set it up.
All right. So things to know, especially for Monica, is that, like I said, she has Community Creation. She's doing amazing things with that. She is working on, look at that, there go your girl. But she's working on amazing things out of Community Creations, and looking at a couple of events and things that she's going to pair with her literary work. And so look forward to some pop-ups and some things like that. Monica and I are talking, and like I've been saying in so many senses, even though the book is in a sense closed, our relationship is not. And for me, that means remaining the friends that we are, the brothers and sisters that we are, but also I'm still the publisher. So I'm like, I gotta, make sure that they stay. And so similar to Auntie Renee, I'm already looking at a couple things that we're gonna do to support you when it comes to that. Whenever you finally do like a pop-up, honestly, y'all can put it in the feedback. I told Monica, we just need to do something that's jazzier than a home shopping network situation, where we can sit up and talk and do what we do, but her show you all her work. And so it's up to Monica ultimately, because it's her project, and I'm just gonna get in where I fit in with what I got. So you all look forward to more from Comenius Creations, and definitely look forward to the upcoming novel, Memoirs of a Hidden Pain. Please know that Monica is so far down the track with this writing, she don't even know how close she is to being done with this book. In my opinion, she's a lot closer than she thinks she is. And like I said, she already has a cover, and it's her story. She knows where it's going. So look forward to that. We gonna pray and agree, and we gonna send up blessings, cross fingers, cross toes, and all of that for seeing the full work. Memoirs of a Hidden Pain this fall. But all right, Pretty Mutai, my sister, if you can hang on for a second, we'll be right back. All right, and then last but not least, Mr. Compton's Most Wanted. What do you got for the people?
For the people, I'm going to say once again, thank you, Eddie, to you personally, and to Rainbow Room Publishing. It has been an honor and a treat to have been a part of this great dynamic series from a Black perspective. To our great hosts today, thank you very, very much. To the other authors, I want to tell you and encourage you to keep on writing. And I say the same thing for myself as well. For those of you who enjoy Graffiti Park, I promise you there is more coming. And for those of you who were inspired or maybe felt something or resonated with Geraldine, I want to leave you with this about that story. The Bible speaks about how you treat the least of these. And here in Geraldine, you have a story where Mr. Thomas represents the least of these. He is a man that's at the end of his life, not long to live. And then you have this young executive who took the time to help him. And in that, she found a reward for herself. And I really, really believe that in life, if you take the time to take care of God's children, you never know what type of rewards he will give to you. So I wanted to leave you with that. But Eddie, I do appreciate it. Thank you once again. And you guys are just great. This has been an amazing experience. So more to come from me, and hopefully more to come from all the authors. I'm looking forward to the ride. Thank you.
Welcome, brother. Anytime. So if you could hang on for a second, but also for a reminder for people that, we are throwing all of our support, and I'm asking you all to do the same for Brother Compton, Brother King Compton, to get that Graffiti Park out, because, man, I'm telling you, and I was laughing to myself because so many people, at least they were talking to me, I don't know if they were talking to you. They said, no. Oh, Ken's in the second book. Oh, we're going to get some more Graffiti Park. Wait, who's Geraldine?
Right.
And then it was like, oh, but I love it. And so they still want that book. So we gonna throw all of our support behind him. We're not gonna push him and intimidate him too much. But remember that red paint.
Right. I
don't
want none of my areas messed up. I don't want to smear with red. So I only have this stuff to celebrate the blood. So.
All right, brother, you hang on, and we'll be right back with you. All right.
All right.
All right, folks, I thank you so much for hanging with us. I see we are already 20 minutes over our time, and so I'm just going to get to these last couple of things really, really quickly. A number of things that I wanted to put out as quick announcements, and they kind of come in the form of ads. And the first one is, this goes back to all of our favorite visual artist slash writer, Miss SENYAH HAYNES. So if you saw the ad that she's doing the amazing work, Jayla's Jaunts. The story follows Jayla, a little girl who's traveling around the United States with her aunt, her magical aunt, Auntie Yaya. And she is hitting each state alphabetically and learning the Black history in the state. And SENYAH is that historian who digs deep for those buried gems that we don't know about. And in my opinion, she did an awesome job in that with the first book, she does what she calls Black history's greatest hits, the things that the majority of us know about. But she went through all of the A's, congratulations. And we're actually looking at how we're going to bind all of the A's together. Think back to that Childcraft Encyclopedia or anything similar for those of you all that are younger. But we're looking at the idea of maybe binding all of the A's together into a one-shot hardcover volume at some point. That might not happen till next year. But while you're waiting, definitely get all those books and look out. This one is already ready. Check it out.
Hi, my name is SENYAH HAYNES, and I'm the author of the Jayla's Jaunts series. And the reason I love Jayla and Auntie Yaya and their magical adventures is because they're full of history and culture and fun, and I am excited to share all of that with you. In Jayla's Jaunts, cruising down California, Auntie Yaya and Jayla ride down the coast and make several important stops along the way. They witness the Black Panthers serving breakfast to school children in the Bay Area. They visit a state park named for a very extraordinary colonel, and in the City of Angels, they learn how Miss Biddy Mason escaped after her former enslaver tried to pull a paper. Jayla's Jaunts, cruising down California, now available from the publisher, Palindrome Global Publishing and Events. To contact the publisher, palindromeglobal@gmail.com. For our website, www.palindromeglobal.com.
And so there you have it, the latest in the series, Jayla's Jaunts. Now we're cruising down California this time. We done learned about everybody from Rosa Parks, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Segregated Army Corps in Alaska, the first African-American journalist in Arizona. And then we learned about the Little Rock Nine in Arkansas. So, this is history that is vital to all of us, regardless of age, regardless of ethnicity. I don't believe in the word race. It's the human race. It's one people. It's just that we all have some different little mixtures going on. But it's vital to everyone. It is all of our history. And this is an amazingly entertaining way to get into this history. And as another little side piece, we're actually looking at where we may be able to, and it looks like we're going to pull it off. We just started talking about this morning, to be honest, but painting and popping traveling parties LLC with the CEO, Danielle Livingston. We're looking at where we will potentially do an adult coloring and sip instead of painting. Coloring the coloring pages at the back of the copies of Jayla's Jaunts in an event that will ideally happen around about the 11th anniversary season of Rainbow Room Publishing. So that would be in November. So look forward to that. Another amazing thing that we're looking at for that time period is right here.
Coming this fall, the Rainbow Room Publishing Writing and Publishing Conference, Saturday, November the 11th, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Brought to you by Dreamwriter Inc., Palindrome Global Publishing and Events, and Rainbow Room Publishing. Save the date. More information to come. And a special thanks to Tony LaBelle and B-Clan Productions for this great track, Black Label.
Bam, so there you go. I will be fortunate enough to be in Chicago around that time, celebrating my birthday, 45, boom, and look good for 45, right? And the 11th anniversary of Rainbow Room Publishing, as well as the 11th anniversary of my very first work, Love Something Infinite. Man, it's a lot of titles to keep up with, y'all. I guess I'm doing a lot of good work, right? But so yeah, look forward to that. Ideally, it will be a hybrid event, meaning that we will have a physical space in Chicago where we would do a number of breakout sessions with the three publishers slash authors that you saw featured there, sponsored by all three companies. So Dreamwriter Inc. with Crystal RENÉE, myself, Rainbow Room Publishing, Eddie Pierce, and the brilliant SENYAH HAYNES with Palindrome Global Publishing and Events. So we're going to do some workshops that will ideally inform how to get the writing done, how to get the publishing done. It will be something that you can attend in person if you happen to be in Chicago, but we're also working on streaming it like this so that everyone around the world will be able to take part. But as you see there, save the date. Honestly, all the paperwork is written up and everything. And as of 3 o'clock this morning, I may have the physical space already figured out. Muta connection, hint, hint. But last thing that I want to leave you with before we let these credits roll, we are already so far down the line when it comes to getting the third book done, and I'm so excited about it. From a Black perspective, The Homeland, which will wrap up the series. It will give you that third book in that green. And as I said on several occasions, this fly is killing me. On several occasions, we're going to put, if you look at them when you put them on your bookshelf, you will be looking at your own Pan-African flag. So look forward to that, at least an announcement regarding that during the conference as far as seeing where we are with it. But for right now, I have a preview to show you the grand unveiling of the cover.
Coming February 2024. From the collection Witness by SENYAH HAYNES, They Hid It in a Book. With photography from Theodore Brown, Windy City Rose. From a Black Perspective, The Homeland. Cover reveal. Don't miss the announcement of the authors Summer 2023. From a Black Perspective, The Homeland. Coming February 2024. From RainbowRoomPublishing.com.
And there you have it. That's my last big unveiling. So obviously, as you see the alternating red, green, and black squares, that is where the authors will be situated. You can look forward to some great announcements about who those authors will be over the summer. Just to let you know where we are with that, emails have gone out to the authors that have been slated for this. I already have some verbal agreements with, I think, 4 of them. And just to be on the safe side, I'm looking at another 4. And it just depends on who, gets back to me at the deadline that I set, which will be, I believe, the end of May. So then you can look forward to starting in June, seeing each one drop in succession, who is down and who will be in the project. One thing to know about the project, and I love this all the time whenever we say, oh, here comes the next volume. People that were in the previous ones like, oh my God, I got to get in that one. I got to get in that one. And I've told all of them, as of now, I honestly have to hold you in my back pocket. And it's partly a publishing decision in the sense that, one of the Rainbow Room Publishing kind of rules, so to speak, I have like a list of rules that I put out from time to time, is to spread the opportunities as far and as wide as possible. And so I'm looking at all of you amazing people that have work already out there. You've already been in an anthology. You've already been working on a longer work. So we're going to put our focus and our energy into you getting that first full book done. We're going to let some new folks get in. And one of the things, honestly, that has been on my heart and my mind since the first one was done, and I've been talking to some of these same people, Auntie Renee, you know, our boy, Maurice Robinson. I can't reach him, but you can. Grab him by the arm, shake him. Crystal, if you're still there, Eric Tillman, go get him. I'm looking for more of the quote unquote black straight male voice. It is missing. It is vital. As I said in my emails to them, this is not just an opportunity for me to publish you. This is a plea, in a sense, that you put your perspective out there so we can kind of round this out as much as possible. Did we get every potential black voice? No, we didn't. We covered as much as we could, but thanks to the inspiration of people like Robin, there will be other anthology projects. I'm honestly looking at a gathering of spiritual leaders to give us what I'm going to call devotion. Ideally, that will drop next Easter. I'm looking at Young, Black, and Gifted, which will bring us our young adult literature. I'm looking at a male perspective, working title, a female perspective, and yes, an LGBTQIA perspective. So we're going to get everybody in. Y'all just got to give me some time. And of course, buy these books in advance so I had the money to do it, right? But, you know, look forward to that. And when it comes to that book in particular, with this one coming up, one of my aims not only was to get the quote unquote black straight voice, but I wanted people to see the unity and the collaboration that already exists between the quote unquote black straight male and the black same gender loving quote unquote gay male, that we can exist together, that we can build together, that we together can impact our communities. So, and just like I have those relationships, and honestly putting it out there real quick, you know, me and brothers in that SGL, Black SGL community, we talk a lot of times about how we value our relationships with our straight counterparts, especially in the Black community. You know, we're still looking for and we still hold high our relationships to our fathers, our uncles, our brothers, our cousins, our sisters. We're your brothers, we're your uncles, we're your cousins, and all of that too. And since that already exists, why can't we display it not only to the rest of our community first, just like this book is meant to do, but to show it to the rest of the world that when it comes to that quote unquote black contingent, oh, they got some things going over there. They're amazing over there. They got some of the same issues we have because we don't always talk about this. You know, old school thinking was don't act up in front of the white folks like they don't have some of the same problems we have across all of the ethnicities. If you really get into it, you'll see that we got a lot of commonalities in that. But in this particular case, we're going to showcase the best and the brightest like we did today. You all have confirmed that for me. Thank you once again for doing that. And last thing I'm going to leave you with before we go to the the rolling the credits, is that anything that is in the add-ons, if you didn't get the prize that you wanted, and honestly, there's still several that are unclaimed. So if you're one of the people I called out, you need to tell me. Them dominoes are already gone. And I was going to get those if somebody didn't claim them back tonight. But those dominoes are gone. And a couple other things have already been claimed behind the scenes. So, you know, get in there. Let me know what you're trying to get prize-wise. But for anybody that is unable to get the exact item they wanted to get for free, please know that the items that are also prizes, pretty much everything Community Creations has done, copies of the books, and that sort of thing. All those things are in the Eventbrite at a low price already. And because, you know, we give it to everybody, my cup is full, not this one, but my cup is full. And God is saying, hey, pour out to the people. So we're going to slash all of those prices. Those will be slashed effectively in about 5 minutes because I forgot to do it while people were reading. But you'll have the opportunity to still take a part in getting those awesome items. And then one more last shout out to good brother Elvis Bryson with Ease Quality Designs and LLC. For the amazing From a Black Perspective shirt. There was a question, I think it was Crystal, whether or not there was a From a Black Perspective, the Blood t-shirt. We're actually working on that. And that's something that you all can look for around about Juneteenth. Also around that time, looking for the authors to reply. So those of you that are in here and didn't hear this in our private group, we're trying to pull together if you think about, I don't really watch these shows and I'm not blasting them, but if you think about the Real Housewives and that sort of thing, they all have a reunion show. I'm looking at a reunion show with all of the authors in both books. We more than likely will not do any readings. This will be an opportunity purely for you all as authors. Excuse me, as well, even potential authors, but readers and fans and friends and family to interact and to get in more of your questions with the author. So look forward to that. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep us lifted up in prayer that we get that done in June after I get a break in May. All right. So, excuse me. So, I want to thank you all again for being here. I'm going to leave you, as always, with my favorite sign off: love, peace, and blessings, and love infinitely from your boy, Eddie S. Pierce Jr. Last bit rolling through right now.
Our show, folks. We want to take a moment to thank all of our advertisers, sponsors, and supporters, as well as our presenters, guest hosts, Robin Easley and J.D. Williams, the authors, Dr. Tamara Hill, SENYAH HAYNES, Renee Thomas, Ken Compton, and Monica Brown. And you, our viewers, for watching. As we go through a little bit more of the behind the scenes, I want to continue with those thank yous. Going down the list here in no particular order, but thank you to all of you. Ease Quality Designs LLC, Surly Shirts, Brown Babies Books, actor Harold Dennis, author and podcast host Mose, Beyond All Limits and CEO Keith Clark, Aswaf Hasworth and the Love Session Orchestra, Dreamwriter Inc., Chef Cordell, Cominus Creations, Palindrome Global Publishing and Events, Pyro Media Network, the Esteem Awards, Titan Capri of Titan in the Morning, Lady Day's Charming Trinkets, Paintin' and Poppin' Traveling Paint Parties, LLC, Pineapple Grenade by Robin, The Sunday Takeout, To a Woman's Heart, and of course to you, a special thanks to all of our audience. Look forward to more from us very soon. And don't forget to check out the new prices. We just slashed the prices for everything in the add-ons. So for those of you who didn't get the prize of your choice, here's your opportunity to get it at a discount. Thanks again in advance for your support. Have a great night. And love infinitely from your boy, Eddie S. Pierce Jr., your publisher, your promoter, your producer, with Rainbow Room Publishing LLC and Rainbow Room Publishing Live.
I'm sorry about that. I was inspired while you was doing it.
Okay.
So I was recording it, but then I have a way I can record my whole screen.
Gotcha.
And I want people to kind of see what I'm looking at as a producer.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna lie. One thing that went over really well with the last show that I tried to figure out a sneaky way to do it without distracting anybody this time. People could see right after the reading, since I'm not the host that's talking to each of y'all, they could see my reaction to the reading. And it was a whole lot of hallelujahs and bitch and go mob, because one of them is Sigma, Ken. And, so I was like, I got some of that while you were doing your thing. And it's no audio, I think, on that. Okay. But I'm only going to use like a minute of it so they can see it. But man, it's. I was thinking to myself, I was like, first and foremost, I was like, man, God bless her for the difficulty you had to have had when it came to condensing what you were going to read. Because we both know it's longer.
And even then, I was saying to myself, I was like, well, shit, I'm going to have a hard time if she went over like 10, 12 minutes. but I said in my head, I was like, you know what? It's going to roll the same way the book did, y'all. We just going to fit it in.
Exactly. You got to know you can stuff and stuff, because literally that's the end of the chapter. So,
right.
So,
yeah, no, that's why I was like, you brought it home. I mean, and it just, it was very much what SENYAH was talking about, which was like how you could just go with the facts, just go. I mean, granted.
Welcome back to From a Black Perspective virtual reading with author Ken Compton. He's a native of St. Louis, Missouri.
I miss Geraldine, he said. Who was Geraldine? And with that question, I will end my reading.
Well, thank you for that reading. This was an experience for me because in the past I was a caregiver for my elderly grandmother. So I did, the book was that story was very good to read. Just kind of made me remember some things. I see that the story is dedicated to and named for your departed grandmother. What was she like, and did she in any way inspire this story?
She was the complete inspiration for this entire story. My grandmother actually lived on the street in St. Louis called Geraldine.